It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Question occurs on the motion to concur with the amendment.
Yeas and nays were previously ordered.
The yeas and nays were previously ordered.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program. Thank God for another beautiful day. Hopefully it'll be a beautiful show, and Montgomery needs a new mayor. Yeah, we're down a city council member because I guess Marsha Johnson wasn't telling the truth about what district she was living in. Got away with that with like 2 years living in the wrong district, but she was removed. And that big housing bill has passed, but Trump is putting the brakes on until we save America. And also a bunch of socialists are winning in New York City and in New York State. Who would have thunk it? We have joining us, as he always does on Wednesdays, always appreciate his time, Jeff Poor, host of the Jeff Poor Show, and of course, editor-in-chief at 1819news.com. Jeff, how you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
So first, let's start with this this split, is in particular in the Alabama delegation. But you see a few folks out there who love this big housing bill Trump has put the brakes on, and then a few others saying, "Oh, this seems like too much government again."
Yeah, and now he's going to hold it hostage for the Save America Act. I don't know. It's strange that as much division and turmoil and strife in Washington, D.C. right now, that this housing miracle is able to happen. And I don't know who it benefits. I don't anticipate members of Congress going back to their districts and saying, yeah, sure, we fight all the time, but what about this housing bill? It just kind of sort of crept up on me out of nowhere.
Yeah, and you've got all sorts of folks saying this was more Elizabeth Warren's baby, but then others will characterize it as more bipartisan. To me, without looking into all the deep details of this massive bill, it looks like another one of these Washington, D.C. Christmas trees, to where some people can come back and say, look, I got this thing added to it, whether it's Senator Britt or Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah, I think that's right. And they can say that, and it makes it, I guess it's something that they can run on. They had to find something that wasn't going to be, I guess they could put this in a farm bill or the NDAA, but housing just seems like, I know like we're going through this affordability thing right now in our politics, but there are two very, very, very different viewpoints on how to tackle that. And, finding common ground is, that's for the naive to me.
Yeah, and I tend to agree more with Coach. And again, this is without not even looking at the details. Every time the government's like, we're going to make college more affordable for folks, or we're going to make healthcare more affordable for folks, it usually ends up the exact opposite. So if I'm seeing this huge, massive bill saying we're going to make housing more affordable, I'm like, so y'all are cutting a bunch of regulations? Y'all are going to secure the dollar a little more? Or like, it just seems like there's a lot of good intentions that usually go the other direction.
Right. It may make it more affordable, but you have a supply and demand curve. The value of something is what it is, whatever someone's willing to pay for it or whatever the seller can get for it. And they do some things with price controls. And, it's just that when the government interferes, and this is true in a lot of different walks of life, it's going to make the cost of things go up. I'd say this about like even school choice or, when they decide they're going to, like, the best probably in my lifetime was like trying to freeze the price of gas and the lines at the pumps. But it's just with government or healthcare is another great one. And then it leads to problems in the supply and demand curve. And if it's cheap and you're selling it below the value of what somebody's willing to pay for it, you're going to have supply issues.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, it's an interesting football, but it's all on pause because Trump really wants the Save America Act. And I'm at this point, this has lasted longer now than the war with Iran. I don't know if they actually get this across the finish line or if DC gets what DC always wants.
I could see it not getting across the finish line, to be honest. To me, that's the way they have to do it. You have to have a lot of things held hostage, a lot of things that are, I think it's just going to make a lot of Republican members mad. They've been resistant to the whole thing from the get-go. And what, they're taking a third bite at reconciliation. Maybe you could put it in there. Joey, I think the ship sailed on this, but they're going to keep trying. I guess that's what voters want.
Yeah, Gary Palmer said, when it was a few weeks back, not a month ago, he mentioned that you could essentially put into part of the bill to make it pass reconciliation that we will pay for essentially documentation and the federal government would provide money. Since it's then a budget item, you can get into reconciliation, send it off the Senate. They get the 50 votes and get the vice president to break the tie.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that gets them there, but I just think there's enough of, and this is in Republican ranks. Obviously, Democrats are going to be totally opposed to it. I think it's just going to be Republicans that aren't for it. And the other thing is the Senate parliamentarian is going to find ways to say no. I think we don't have a parliamentarian right now who sees that as, who's willing to work with the Senate leadership on the Republican side and get things done.
Yeah, it's DC as usual. Now, we talked a little bit on your show that it looks like the war for the soul of the Democratic Party is underway. Now, what's your main takeaway of it? Socialism being very popular up there in New York.
So, this was inevitable to me, and I'm surprised they held it off for as long as they did. The first skirmish was AOC beating Joe Crowley, longtime Democrat. The guy who was the chairman of the House Progressive Caucus got beat by AOC. I think you're going to see more of this. But it just took some time. Other things got in the way. Probably a lot of it has to do with Trump and the Democratic Party establishment kind of co-opting Trump derangement syndrome and running successfully off of that. That's how you get a Dan Goldman in the U.S. House. But the thing that sort of prevailed in the end was the ideology. I think some of it is real, but I do think the socialism aspect, it's just this communal lifestyle in New York City and people, way of life, and thinking that a form of government like that can exist in America. And I think it's naive and misguided, but I think that's what's going on here, and that's going to be kind of the fight in the Democratic Party as they try to define themselves in a wholesale sense.
Yeah, and I just don't think they're going to sell it. I actually think the heyday of socialism and flirting within this country goes more back to the New Deal and FDR and FDR's vice president, Henry Wallace, was pen pals with Stalin. And
right.
All this, the Nixon outed Alger Hiss, who was next in line to be Secretary of State, who was a literal Soviet spy. And so when we think socialism's taken over, guys, it's no, we've had a mixed economy and this sort of thinking for a long time. They seem weaker than ever to me.
I don't know. Demographics are shifting and populations are moving to certain places. The thing about 20th century socialism is people in America were kind of looking around the globe and thinking that this newest thing was going to work. Fascism. And not fascism in, the sense that it's like Hitler, demagogue, and anti-Jewish sentiments and things like that, but just the idea of what a fascist government does and taking over a private industry and the way it puts people to work and what it does. The government becomes the private sector, essentially, and it's not full-fledged communism, but it has some socialist tendencies. But all these ideas about how we can govern ourselves and how we can form an economy, and they catch on in different places in the world, and they turn out that they just don't work in that sort of nation state. I think America went through this too, where Americanized democracy, that was popular for a while post-Cold War, and maybe it kind of works in the Baltics or wherever, but it doesn't work in the Middle East. I mean, it's just not what their culture. It's not. It doesn't really comport with their cultural sensibilities. So you watch these political movements, and right now, for whatever reason, the Democratic Party is fascinated with European-style socialism, and like I said, it may work in some places in this country. I think is a wholesale kind of big picture policy agenda. It's not going to really work with our constitutional government, but B, it's just something that you're right. The DNA of America, is going to reject. And we've never been this kind of a people. It's more of a pioneering sort of pedigree. And I just think for that reason, it's not going to be a political philosophy that's going to have a lot of success in elections.
Well, and you would think too that in the American system, the proper place to try to say fight for socialist governance is the state level, because the states have a lot more hands on deck with education and healthcare and so many other things. And what's fascinating, and I guess you had on Alan Mendenhall in your program for the first time this morning. We have him on biweekly, and I learned this from him, is that the South in particular is becoming much more dynamic as they become much more free market compared to the populist, almost socialist Southern politicians of a few generations ago, whereas New York and California continue to lose population. So it's like, okay, you can run that experiment, and South America just ran that experiment for the last century, and you're starting to see so many of them flip now that the foreign aid money is drying up. So I don't know, like, you can run that experiment locally. Go for it, man. Like, I'm sure maybe it'll work all right in Vermont, but I just don't see it working ever at the national level.
We had too much, like you said, too dynamic of a population. We had different economies. The economies are not uniform. The skill sets are not uniform. The demands for those skill sets are not uniform. But if you try it at the state level, like you said, I mean, the state just has a limited amount of resources. They can jack up taxes and. Right. They could try to acquire the resources to implement socialism, but they can't. I mean, they just, people will leave and go to another state. There's 49 other places you can go, and not everybody's going to do this. You got to do it to your own detriment. So I think they look at the federal government as the place to do that. The reason it didn't really work in the 20th century or the 19th century in America and the South, I mean, it was like kind of intermingled with racial politics. Mm-hmm. And like we had real poverty. This was pre-New Deal. This was welfare state. You didn't have government handouts like you do today. And these kinds of like things, that's why they gained traction. That's why you had these Southern political figures run on these populist ideas like that. Because I think you had like real poverty and real like hardship, and we manage it a little bit better post New Deal, but like I don't think you have quite the same level of hardship in America's major cities. You do have some hardship, mm-hmm. but a lot of that is it's cultural, right? It's crime, it's blight, and if you want to flee it, you're able to flee it. You could go down the street. The neighborhoods are different. You just got to work toward it. You just didn't have the opportunities 150 years ago.
Well, and there is an alternative if you're thinking about a city and how to govern it, where Trump's showing it in Washington, D.C., and a lot of folks on the left will call that fascist or heavy-handed or authoritarian. But I think I also just saw headlines being touted city of Memphis after the National Guardsmen there. I mean, you're talking massive drops in crime, and if you also continue to do that with security and beautification projects, there's all sorts of things to make a city hum again. But so I think it's more an ideological thing.
New York City under Giuliani, yeah. Right? Like I grew up when the first time I went to New York City, it was David Dinkins, and it was just prostitutes and blight, and it was a scuzzy. Times Square was scuzzy, and it's getting back to that. But under Giuliani and under Bloomberg, it was like Disney World going to Times Square. It was like. They kept it. They ran a tight ship there after 9/11 in the name of public safety. It's just like you got to sacrifice. I mean, if you want to have just a free for all and live up to these kind of liberal ideas, where we're gonna have more social workers and fewer policemen, you're gonna have an increase in crime, and people aren't gonna want to live in your godforsaken city. I mean, I just right. How many times do we have to do this? But A lot of people vote that way, and they vote their own government. I guess you're living through it right now in Montgomery, Alabama.
Well, and I can also see going forward that I would love to see just let capitalism and free markets rip and then have something like a safety net that is explicitly a safety net. Stop trying to get involved in the micromanaging of the economy, and it ends up being essentially just this huge game of illegal and legal graft where everybody, all the consultants are just taking a big rake to this huge pile of money. And instead, let markets do what markets do beautifully, and then you set up things that are truly for people in need. That should be the basic idea. In some ways, we have that, but it seems like we keep overcomplicating it.
That's what you need with like healthcare. I was talking to Parker Griffith on my show today too about this, and I think like if we go down this path and we talk about healthcare, we're gonna create a healthcare system that resembles the public education system.
Yep.
And there's some good public schools. There's some good public schools everywhere, and there would probably be good hospitals everywhere. But then you are going to have this. What you really need is have like that safety net for healthcare, and just let the private market, the free enterprise, the free market, I guess I should say, if you have the ability and you have the means to get like better quality healthcare, then you can put your own money toward it. And you can't do that in some systems, like in Western Europe. They've outlawed all that. But it'll have a social safety net, a bare bones socialist, all these things that we have done since the New Deal. But you can't expand them because then you start tinkering with the economy and everybody suffers.
Right. And healthcare is a perfect example, as is education, where it's not just strictly a safety net. It is government managed in so many ways. So even if Alabama wants to let things rip in terms of the free market and then have that safety net for folks in healthcare, the national healthcare market is dominated by government spending, government regulations. I don't know. I would like to give, like, it's not the buzzword these days, especially with Trump being a little more protectionist, but I'd like to give, free markets a try, not just for, the big corporates, like actual Main Street entrepreneurship. Let it rip.
But you have private partnerships, private-public partnerships, and you have the insurance lobby in bed with government. They're not going to let go of that. The system is rigged in their favor. That's the whole problem with it. We complain about Blue Cross Blue Shield or whatever all the time, but it's sort of like if you look at the economics of it, you're going to lay out this framework, and this is how we're going to do it. This is what's going to happen, guys. You have consolidation of health insurance providers. You're going to have consolidation of hospital systems. A real big thing, and that's the way they cut costs, and that's the way they're able to manage a system while in bed with the legislature or Congress or whoever it may be to enable this.
Now, before I let you go, no, it's not your city, but I'd love to get your take on this headline I'm seeing at 1819, and I believe it was y'all that first put this out there, that started this ball rolling. Montgomery City Council removes Marsha Johnson from District 3 seat, and it's now set a September 1st special election. So Johnson was not living in the district for almost 2 years. That's amazing.
No, I mean, how do you get away with that? But we were tipped off about it, looked into it, and she didn't deny it when we asked. And now you see the repercussions there. But like these city council districts, you couldn't have found somebody, or somebody couldn't have run in them. Why wasn't this like fully investigated and vetted during the election? I don't know, but that's what's happening in Montgomery, Alabama right now.
Well, and it's also like I've talked to Marsha. I have no issue with Marsha personally, but like when you're not following the basic law, like you have to live in the district that you supposedly represent, and you buy a almost $400,000 home outside the district. I mean, come on.
And you do it, and you fly under the radar for like 2 years, right?
Right.
Like, at what point could you not have like maybe found a home in the district? How hard would that have been?
What a mess! And I have a sense that there's a lot of that with Montgomery. If we continue to look under the hood, there are a lot of different areas for Montgomery to be some sunlight. Could be some good for this place.
I think so, and Stephen Reed, it's been a rough several years here for you guys.
Yeah, and honestly, I got to say, if I'm a Democrat, And I'm thinking about the future. I much prefer Randall Woodfin than Stephen Reed. I think Birmingham's at least going in the right direction.
I suppose he's a little too Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
I guess that's better than just outright ineptitude, but there's something that makes me uneasy about him to give that kind of endorsement.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I had to pick, this is more would you rather. But
I don't know, Joe. I mean, like, I don't know how much time you spend in Birmingham. I spend a lot of time in both cities. I think I'd still probably go with Montgomery right now.
Really? Oh, no. I was about to let you go, but why? Why do you think that?
It does. There's just more to do. I think in some ways the restaurant. I mean, there's some good restaurants in Birmingham, but there's more of a cultural impulse. Birmingham, it's not really a historic city. It only came to be after the Civil War, with the railroad crossing there, and then steel industry, and it's also like way more ideological left. Whereas Montgomery is, I mean, it's just what they do. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. But this is like, they really believe in like these national left-wing ideals. If you want to like look at what's more likely to function as a socialist government, it's somebody who's capable of it, like a Randall Woodfin. Well-ran socialism versus this sort of banana republicanism in Montgomery, but just makes Montgomery have a little more character. And I don't know, like I said, I grew up in Birmingham. I've spent a lot of time there, but if you had asked me if I had to spend the night in Montgomery or if I had to spend the night in Birmingham, probably pick a Montgomery.
Well, you heard that here first, folks. But I appreciate the time, Jeff. If folks want to check out your work, how can they do so?
X.com/Jeff_Poor.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Talk to you soon.
I was at 1819 News, 1819news.com as well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man. Again, Jeff Poor, and yes, 1819news.com, the place to find it all. But yeah, as that housing bill was being passed, I believe the senator chairing the Senate was United States Senator Katie Britt.
Question occurs on the motion to concur with the amendment.
Yeas and nays were previously ordered.
The yeas and nays were previously ordered.
Wait, did y'all hear the same thing as me? Because you can hear the parliamentarian, or whoever that is, saying the yeas and nays were previously ordered. But here, let's hear this again.
Question occurs on the motion to concur with the amendment.
Yeas and nays were previously ordered.
The yeas and nays were previously ordered.
I think it's a fitting way to end the month of June, with the yeas and nays being previously ordered. 272-9228. You could say that's not what she said, but that's what I heard. I'm not saying it's a big deal. I'm just saying that's what I heard. But I'm glad this housing thing got passed, and now that Trump has put a big old pause on it, said, nope, we're not going to do the housing thing that everybody loves, everybody wants to do. In fact, here is what Trump put out 3 hours ago. The Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren-centric housing bill, which is of minor importance compared to lower interest rates and even FISA, pales in comparison to passing the Save America Act. That is what Americans, both Democrats, Republicans, and everyone else care about. Get the bad Republicans to approve it, or better yet, terminate the filibuster and approve it, and everything else Republicans have ever dreamed of. The Democrats will do it in 1 hour, 100%. Republicans will feel very stupid if they don't do it. I'll be watching with tears in my eyes. President DJT. What a mess. What an absolute mess. Anyway, I got to hit this break first. This part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services. They're at Pest Pro. Ashley and that great team are ready to help you out. If you are, looking for a great local company that can really get the job done with your pest control, and, perhaps you're looking for somebody to take care of those mosquitoes. Perhaps you're looking for somebody to take care of those termites. In fact, you hadn't had an inspection done in a long time. You're a little overdue. Yeah, you should call up Pest Pro. Maybe you got something in your crawl space up in your attic, making a home out of your home. Pest Pro can handle that. Across the board, Pest Pro Services can help you with any and all pest control needs. And they're a great growing company. Because I can say all sorts of stuff about Pest Pro, and it would be true, and it would show how good they are. But one thing I can say that sort of shows rather than tells is they started with like 2-3 folks in 2020. It's now teams of people. They've expanded leaps and bounds, serving the whole river region. So to see that growth, that success, it shows, well, they must be up to something pretty effective and pretty great. And they're always giving back to the local community. So, when you're spending your money with them, it's going back to great causes here in Montgomery and the surrounding areas. So check them out. That's Pest Pro Services. You can always go to ppsriverregion.com or search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces or call them direct at 265-9990. That's 265-9990. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services, and be sure to tell them that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter. You know what you can trust? The protection you get when you bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive. You know what you can't trust? Everything else, apparently. Like when you saw that article that said that thing you eat every day is a superfood and great for your gut health. But then 30 seconds later, a different article warns you to avoid it and it's taking years off your life. Well, which is it? Kind of a big difference there. Anyway, bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive for reliable coverage in a reliably unreliable world. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Summer food game is only as strong as what you're working with. This July 4th at Lowe's, get up to 45% off select major appliances and save up to an additional 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Plus, save $50 on the select Pit Boss DX Smart Electric Smoker, now $249. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 6/24 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
You want your floors to scream new, fresh, and stylish. But if yours are groaning, tired, old, and outdated, you're in luck. Because at Prattville Carpet, you can revitalize your floors while you save on the best brands available with perfect and professional installation and Prattville's unbeatable lifetime warranty.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
Start shopping for your floors right now at PrattvilleCarpet.com.
Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
Whether it's AC or heating or plumbing that you're needing, whatever you require, call Lou Choir. Since 1983, we've treated you like family. Day or night, we do things right so you can live more comfortably. Whether it's AC or heating or plumbing that you're needing, whatever you require, call Lou Choir right now.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. 5 reasons to get a home inspection before you close on a home. Homeowners buying their first home or their 10th home still need a home inspection performed. First, you will find out firsthand the true condition of the home, the age and state of the heating and air, the roof, electrical, and plumbing as of the date of inspection. Second, it may give you the ability to renegotiate repairs that the seller will end up paying for before closing. Third, if the results show that the repairs would be too costly, then you can opt out of the contract without losing your earnest money. Fourth, the age and state of the systems will indicate what shape the rest of the house might be in and give you the option to opt out of the transaction or renegotiate terms. Fifth, knowing what needs to be done to the house will allow you the opportunity to update the home properly to your taste. For a list of the best home inspectors in the area, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group at 334-221-2883 or 551-0225. The Goodson Group.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Wall Street Business Report. I'm Rich Thomason. Wall Street opened with modest gains today following a global sell-off in big technology stocks a day earlier. Chipmaker Micron, which tumbled more than 13% on Tuesday, gained 3.2% in overnight trading. This week's selling was largely targeting companies that have seen their values surge amid the frenzy over artificial intelligence technology. Outside of the AI sell-off, shares of Google parent company Alphabet inched higher overnight after it was announced that it would replace Verizon on the Dow Jones Industrial Average on Monday. Alphabet will become the fifth Magnificent Seven company to join the index. Oil prices are down again, continuing to edge closer to where they were before the Iran war started in late February. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomas.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. We've got some hot and humid days in our future for the rest of the week. Today, a good bit of sunshine. I've got the rain chances today and tomorrow, really, about 20% or less. So we'll say few and far between on the storms. Lows at night in the lower 70s. I think we'll be near 90 on Thursday and probably lower 90s by Friday and Saturday. So the days will be getting hotter. And not many storms on the radar this week. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Big dreams for your home on a tight budget? AFE's $26.26 as you covered. Unlock your home's equity with just $26 in closing costs. No fees, no headaches. Visit your local ASE branch today. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender. NMLS number 420259.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
How you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. So yeah, the Montgomery City Council voted yesterday, unanimously to vacate Montgomery City Councilwoman Marsha Johnson from her District 3 seat. The council also approved a resolution establishing dates for a special election to fill. Recently, the Johnson lives in a home in City Council District 7, not District 3, which Johnson has represented since 2021. Johnson purchased the home in June 2024 for $359,900 with a VA loan. VA loans are good. I tell you all the time, go check out Alabama Home Mortgage. They can help you with the VA mortgage. She also has a property tax exemption listed on the home, which would indicate the home as her primary residence. By law, members of the Montgomery City Council must live in the district they represent. Following its determination, the council approved a resolution setting the timeline for a special election to allow District 3 residents to select their next representative. The council's actions today ensure that the citizens of District 3 will have the opportunity to select their next representative through a fair and transparent election process, Montgomery City Council President C.C. Calhoun said. We encourage interested candidates to qualify and ask all eligible voters to participate in the election. Candidate qualifying will begin June 30th and remain open through July 14th. The special election will be held on September 1st. If no candidate receives the required number of votes, a runoff election will be held on October the 13th. Residents interested in seeking the District 3 seat are encouraged to contact the Montgomery City Clerk's office for information regarding candidate qualification requirements and election procedures. Now, I'm wondering, how quick could Marsha Johnson move? Like you still want to represent District 3? Go live in District 3. Maybe you go move real quick. You got like a month. You can move quick. Now, I don't know if you want to leave the nice house. It sounds like it's a pretty nice house. Though, who knows with these inflated housing prices, but it sounds like it's a nice house. But like I said, I don't have anything personally against Marsha. I've always enjoyed my time just talking to her. But yeah, you got to be in the district that you represent. Marcia Johnson put out about 4 hours ago on her Facebook page, quote, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Again, that's from the prophet Jeremiah, book of Jeremiah 29:11. That's the NIV translation. Yeah, and a lot of folks showing support and love for her, saying, keep strong, you got this, keep your head up. Girlie, stay focused. Prayer hands. It gets greater later. Prayer hands, heart emoji, God knows, all caps, prayer hands, hands in the air. But yeah, no, maybe you can move, Marcia, and you can get easily reelected to District 3. But come on, y'all, what are we doing here? And I know there are a lot of folks that were pushing back, saying, oh, no, of course she lives there. Of course she... Well, it looks like you don't. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's us?
It's Simpler Days.
Hey, Simpler Days. How you doing?
Well, when she's signing the new papers on the new house, I guess we'll all pray for her to make sure she knows the correct address for mailing purposes and utilities and other things that you're going to need the correct address for.
And she bought this place in June of 24, so she's been there a while.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've ever bought a house, Joey, or filled out a loan, I mean, you there's a lot of documents involved, and you got to continue to tell the lie, document after document after document. But now we've reached this point where there's no responsibility. There's no fault. It was all a big mistake, and we'll pray for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, and who wasn't there in this 4-minute, ever how many minutes council meeting there was? Who wasn't there, Joey?
Oh, no, I didn't watch.
The mayor.
We have a mayor?
Well, he's in California, and he's getting pictures taken with Gavin Newsom and all the Democrats. But you would think a significant event, removing a sitting city councilwoman from her spot, if the mayor would, but I guess that was his way of abstaining not to be soiled by the event.
I mean,
hey, the 1819 News gentleman who said he'd rather be in Birmingham, he must not have got the word that Montgomery has passed Birmingham in homicides this year.
Or he said he'd rather be in Montgomery, but yeah.
Yeah, he said he'd rather be in Montgomery than Birmingham, and nor did he get the word, the memo, that Montgomery is the syphilis capital of the state. So,
well,
needs to be
if you keep your pants
here.
on, that's not a problem. You know, if you've been invited out to a fancy trip in California to raise money from a bunch of rich folks and a tour vineyard and stuff, ain't you going to stay? Who cares if a councilman's been living in the wrong district for 2 years? Like, yeah, I got stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, when you can rub elbows with those kind of folks, I mean, why would you want to be in Montgomery? Have a good day, Joey.
And Szymanski's going to be on at 1, so feel free to call back.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, man. 272-9228. Let's go to line 2. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey, I love your show. I'm just saying, just like with education and health care and all, when the government gets involved, the prices go up.
Yep.
And it's going to be the same with housing.
Yep. It already is.
It seems to make sense to build more housing, but when the government influences it, it does not work out well, and I'm going to explain to you why.
I already know, and I appreciate it, but moved on. Thank you. 272-9228. I appreciate you calling and wanting to explain to me how the government screwed up everything. Everything. But yeah, City Councilman, Councilor Andrew Szymanski will join us at 1 o'clock. I see a story from a year ago or November of last year that his bar got because we talked about it before, is a storefront improvement grant sent to a bar that he owns. Yeah, it's interesting. Like all these Montgomery stories are trending on 1819 News. So, we'll look forward to talking to Andrew Szymanski. But it's a shame that Marsha Johnson just wasn't in the right district. And yeah, God does have plans for you. He has plans for everybody. And sometimes it's going to smart. It's going to be, it's going to hurt a little bit. But she'll be all right. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. I got to hit a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hi, I'm Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop Wellness Center at 8161 Vaughan Road. You know, with over 30 years experience in natural wellness, I've seen countless health fads come and go. A few years ago, we added a patented technology that actually activates your stem cells. It reverses the aging process at the cellular level. However, you do need proper hydration and targeted nutrition. At the Herb Shop, our advanced scanning and testing technology allows us to accurately assess your nutritional needs and get a customized plan for you. Come in today and see what the Herb Shop can do for you.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Normally we talk to Austin Barranco at this time, but he is tied up, busy, which honestly I like hearing when a client is busy. He's probably working with clients of his own. Great sponsor there, Austin Barranco and the fine folks at Invista Advisors. Of course, the chief strategist there, the head honcho, Brant McDonald. You've been hearing him for years on the radio airwaves with Greg Budell, but Austin Barranco runs the brokerage desk there. So, of course, you're looking for investment strategy, somebody to help manage those assets for you. They can do that for you there at Invista Advisors, but they do more than just manage assets. They can also set you up on a financial plan wherever you need to be in life, wherever you're starting off in creating that plan in life. Could be middle age, could be more getting end of life things buttoned up, could be you're just starting. It's never too early, never too late to actually lay down a financial plan, especially when you're thinking not just of yourself, but those kids in your life. And perhaps you're running a business, so a lot of people are relying on you. Perhaps you're running a nonprofit that's taking care of a lot of folks. So again, a lot of people are relying on you. Why not have true professionals there, all sorts of different types of expertise at Invista Advisors. They all work together to create a financial plan just for you. So check them out today. You can always start the conversation at 387-0094. That's 387-0094. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. In 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. If I could be honest here for a moment, and maybe it's just the mood I'm in today, but when I see like a lot of folks on social media, like supporting Marsha Johnson or spiking the football and that we called this, and of course everybody who defended her is just a rotten, dirty, no good person. There's part of me that's like, is this just like, I'm trying to find words. It seems so small. It seems so insignificant. It seems like if we were actually having a well-governed, self-governing city, it wouldn't be through flame wars or praise emojis on Facebook. Now, I don't want to pick on Montgomery because I think there's a lot of flame wars and insult comedy and trolling and, yes, praying hands emojis that go on all parts of this country. But when I see what PR and the information wars become over something as small, pardon me, as a seat on the Montgomery City Council, what are we doing here? I get it around the presidency or around a Senate seat. But over a city council position? Or who's mayor? And I just get the sense that there are some folks that just like winning. All sorts of different sides of this. They just like winning. They like playing that game and winning. And now some have maybe convinced themselves that they're on the side of the Angels. And good for you. But perhaps the name of the game shouldn't be winning. Perhaps the name of the game should be doing right by the city. And a lot of that to me doesn't seem to be all that complicated. And yet we make it complicated. We watch it become complicated. Suppose we need members of the city council. I suppose we need a mayor. When I see all the noise, especially every day when I don't do it anymore every day because it got depressing. But in particular, when you see like local Montgomery Facebook, I keep having the thought, maybe self-government doesn't work sometimes. Anyway, let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, it's Has-Been.
Hey, Has-Been. How you doing?
I think, Joey, the point is we citizens have been so numb by politicians that just do what they want, and we seem to have no recourse against them whatsoever, that in this case, yeah, I think people are cheering a little bit that we feel like we've been vindicated. We were actually able to get rid of a politician that for 2 years lived outside our district now, for 2 years. So,
yeah, but what's that really going to change about everyday life here in the city?
No, but when you're beat down constantly,
yeah, I hear you.
You'll take anything as a victory.
I hear you. Oh yeah, no, and again, it's free country. People can do what they want, but like this does not show a sign of. This is not a symptom of a functioning, well-running community. This is a symptom of we got a lot of problems, and people are celebrating over the smallest little victory over one another rather than rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's a huge divide in Montgomery right now between the black and the white. It's a huge divide, and I don't know what's going to cure it, if it's going to get cured at all. I don't know. I just get up every morning with the realization we need a new mayor.
Yeah, I think I've heard that somewhere. Though I like to pretend we don't have a mayor. Beyond that one start of the show, I like to pretend we don't have a mayor, and I tell you, I am so much happier. Like, we just got no mayor. That's the problem.
Yeah, really.
Right. It is a mess. Appreciate you, Hasbin. 272-9228 again. That's 334-272-9228. Just a mess, and it's disappointing. And it's a shame, too, because when people aren't playing this performative politics game, I think there are a lot of great folks in this city that often actually have a lot more in common than they want to believe. And you would hope that first starting with God and Jesus Christ. Yet, gotta wonder, as much as folks say that, how much are we actually on the same page? I don't know. For all the folks celebrating, for all the folks getting all butthurt over this, it's like, the law is the law, and you got to live in the district. So, number one there, it's a mistake, to put it mildly. But this does not make a functioning city. This is a symptom of a city that has got a lot of issues beyond just the nuts and bolts of governance. It's a city kind of lost in its identity in many ways. And perhaps it'll come out on the other side of that after growth pains, but we shall see. Again, 272-9228 if you want to hop in. on the program. That's 334-272-9228. But first, as part of the program, brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And they're at Montgomery Men's Health. They're ready to help you fellas out. If you just don't feel like a man anymore, you feel like a little girly man. You feel like or just like the air's out of the balloon, so to speak. That's no fun. You know, that sound of air going out of a balloon, that's you. Or that's how you feel, at least. That's your inner emotion. Just a big, floppy, airless balloon. Well, Montgomery Men's Health, they can pull that thing back up again. Oh, you better believe it. They can get you back your confidence, get you back that energy, that drive that you used to have all the time where you pull all-nighters at work and other things. They can help you get back, that sleep pattern. They allow you to actually, be able to eat and enjoy food without getting incredibly fat. Usually the problem, especially if you feel like, all the air's out of the balloon, it's low T, low testosterone, but it could be something more acute like ED or PE, all sorts of performance issues, wherever you are in life, whatever you're up to. So why not get by Montgomery Men's Health, powered by Men's Pro, men's performance clinic that's been serving Montgomery and the surrounding areas for years now. And they can truly help you out if you're a dude and you just don't feel like a dude. You need some help. And I know a lot of dudes, a lot of guys, a lot of fellas say, hey, I don't want to go to any doctor. I'm a man. Oh, are you? What you need to do is call them up today at 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Make an appointment. And what you're going to find is they have treatments for you. And you're going to start to notice results immediately, very swiftly indeed. So, again, that's Montgomery Men's Health, 440-3663, or you can book online in under 30 seconds at MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com. That's Montgomery Men's Health for every man in every season of life. Be sure to tell them that Joey on the radio sent you. I'll be right back after this.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is Donna. News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Today is the 4-year anniversary of the repeal of Roe v. Wade. Marjorie Dansenfelser of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America says the next battle in the country will be over abortion pills. The head of the UN Nuclear Agency says that Iranian nuclear enrichment sites will be visited by inspectors. That's a key component in the interim U.S.-Iran deal to reach an end to the war. An Iranian diplomat promptly rejected that claim, saying later today that such a visit can only come after a final deal is already made. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the other major indexes for that matter have been up and down so far today. It's the Dow still treading water, way up in positive territory actually by 210 points. The Nasdaq has reversed course, however. Right now it's off by about 93. The S&P 500 slipping below the even mark. It's down by 14 points. This is SRN News.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Mr. Electric of Montgomery. Mr. Electric, we've got the power to make things better. Visit MrElectric.com.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. We've got some hot and humid days in our future for the rest of the week. Today, a good bit of sunshine. I've got the rain chances today and tomorrow, really, about 20% or less. So we'll say few and far between on the storms. Lows at night in the lower 70s. I think we'll be near 90 on Thursday and probably lower 90s by Friday and Saturday. So the days will be getting hotter. And not many storms on the radar this week. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
The Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories.
The Montgomery City Council has voted unanimously to remove District 3 Representative Marsha Johnson from office. A special election for the seat will take place on September 1st. Marsha Johnson has represented District 3 since 2021. 2 years ago, she bought a home in District 7 with a VA loan, which requires the military member to live in the residence. Prattville wide receiver Deshaun Hall announced his commitment to Auburn football on Tuesday. The four-star prospect chose nearby Auburn over Penn State. Deshaun Hall caught 40 passes at Prattville last year, averaging 16 yards per catch with 5 touchdowns. Deshaun Hall also had basketball offers from Cincinnati, Mississippi State, Alabama State, and other schools. The city of Montgomery has announced the launch of Dexter, an AI-powered digital assistant. Dexter is designed to help residents quickly find information, access city services, and navigate city government online. Dexter is available 24/7 through the city's website, providing instant answers to common questions. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Get ready, Central Alabama. The biggest watermelon festival yet is happening Saturday, June 27th at Sweet Creek Farm Market. They're celebrating America's 250th birthday and all things watermelon with free admission, over 100 arts and crafts vendors, a watermelon eating contest, entertainment for the kids, food trucks, and family fun around every corner. It's Sweet Creek Farm Market's biggest arts and crafts festival ever, and admission is free. Saturday, June 27th, 10 to 4 on Highway 231 and Pike Road. Come hungry, bring the family, and celebrate summer at Sweet Creek Farm Market Watermelon Festival.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. For Montgomery's conversational radio show, it's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Joey Clark. And as promised, we have here in the studio with us Counselor Andrew Szymanski on the Montgomery City Council. And there's not been a lot going on at the council, right?
No, not at all. It's been quiet.
Real quiet.
Just keeping our heads down and moving forward, obviously.
But I saw you'll have like one less member now.
We do. We, as of yesterday, we are in an 8-member council, and until we have an election to fill that seat, we'll remain an 8-member council. Based on the schedule from yesterday that we adopted, September 1st election day, and then you're required to also have a runoff period in case there is a runoff, which will be in October, and then I believe then we do some kind of swearing in or some whatever, however that works after that.
Well, it sounds like everybody on the council gave Marsha plenty of time to show otherwise.
Yeah. Look, this process is pretty unique. It's not something that's happened before, and really kind of caught a lot of us off guard, myself included. I mean, somebody sent me a Facebook post back in May when this thing kind of broke, and I was very surprised, and at first I didn't even really know what it meant. Like, right. Okay, well, what does this really mean, and what is this process? And so what we found out is, one, it's unprecedented because it's never happened like this before. We have had vacancies. Richard Bollinger was, city councilor over in District 1, Tracy Larkin, both passed away in office. But this was kind of a unique situation. And so, we allowed the city's attorneys, we allowed council leadership. CC Calhoun did a a good job of guiding us through this whole process. And after reviewing and having meetings to discuss, and after recommendations from all of those parties, we found that their qualifications for office were not being upheld, and so we had to make that decision. And it really comes down to three things. It's number one is if you get elected to another office, if you take another office, then you vacate your seat. There's a statute that says if you're in violation of a crime of moral turpitude, which is a great word I've said a lot of times over the last month and a half.
That was said a lot back during the Bentley administration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. So if you commit a crime of moral turpitude, which we could have a whole hour debate about what that could possibly be. And then the third one is that you have to live in your district in which you serve. And I think that one of the hard things, for people, and I know especially right now emotions are really high on this, and it's been challenging because a lot of great things have been coming out of District 3, especially in the downtown area and some of the neighborhoods, whether it be Sheridan Heights, Chisholm, Capitol Heights, whatever. Is that last part about serving in the district is really putting you as close as you can be to the residents that rely on you, the small businesses and businesses that rely on you to make sure stuff is getting done, and to understand what's happening in your district. And so, I know that this is the type of thing that gets, the fangs out and people get all hot and bothered over it. But it is also just challenging because, we've developed a relationship, and it's, as I said, there's been good things that have been happening there, but we have rules, and we have to be accountable to those rules, and we have to abide by those rules. And, for whatever reason, if those are not being met, then we, as a council, have the ability to take that kind of an action. And so you got to see that process unfold in full effect.
Yeah, not that we're going to sit here and game out all the dynamics of the relationships and potential issues that come up. I'll just put it this way then. We're now from 9 to 8, and an even number on a board or a council, or, there's a reason we go with odd numbers, like to actually break ties and just disagreements. So I wonder if this is going to create just interesting issues in terms of passing certain things going forward.
I think it could. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty straightforward way of laying it out. And, for us as counselors, we're, coming into the summer season as we prepare for the next fiscal year. There's going to be a lot of things that will require continued communication and collaboration across the council to get things passed. I think in some ways, this will change some dynamics too, because a new person will be coming in and what their priorities are and what they're representing and what the people that they're representing have elected them to do while they're there will throw, kind of an interesting variable into all of this. So I think you're right. And just so people know, if you are deadlocked 4-4, it won't, whatever it is you're trying to pass won't pass.
Right.
It has to be a majority of the council. So tie doesn't favor approval. It favors something not passing. It's not a denial. It just doesn't pass. And so we've had meetings where, I think in my term in 3 years, I think I've missed one or two meetings. And so in a meeting like that, if I'm not present or somebody else isn't present, then we've had a couple of things that could not pass. And, some of the more important things you may say, like, well, does that mean we're going to carry this over? Do we have to negotiate on this? So I definitely think it could provide something interesting for the council, and does change the dynamic a bit.
Now, I noticed today, because, I'm always checking 1819 News, like I know some people over there. And
you write really eloquently for them, too,
by the way. I appreciate that. I try to do what I do, and I let everybody else do what they do. But they're trending on their trending section. I see a story that I think we've covered on the show, but City of Montgomery sends storefront improvement grant to City Councilman Andrew Szymanski's new bar. And I believe this was a matching grant where first you had to finance the money, right? And then, but explain it for folks, like what happened.
Yeah. Good to see I'm trending again. So the program that was referenced was an application that we had done as a business, and many businesses had done. They were offering up these kind of storefront improvement grants for businesses that resided inside of the downtown corridor. And so, the article came out, and I had a bunch of people reach out and ask me about it. So I guess taking the opportunity just to kind of clarify a couple of things. One is I may be the most visible face of the businesses that I have, Hilltop Public House and Ricky's, our new little sports and arcade bar. But I'm a partner. It's not my sole I'm not the sole owner. I'm actually a minority partner in those businesses. And like any other business, took the opportunity to participate in that process, which is something that is handled kind of outside of me. And I'm very, very clear about that. With my team, we have management. I'm not involved in day-to-day. I don't work there. I don't collect a paycheck from there. I'm just an owner of that. And so what we did is applied for the grant. We were awarded that grant. And as part of that process, whenever there's something that we're just questioning whether or not we may want to make sure that we're being above board, before we even accepted $1 of that money, I actually went to the Ethics Commission. The city of Montgomery's previous lead attorney, Stacey Bellinger, filed a ethics review request on my behalf. Put all the information in. We actually got a ruling and a letter from the deputy director of the Ethics Commission saying that it was good to go. Essentially, that big pile of money was allocated as part of the small business program. I didn't have any participation in the awarding of those grants. I didn't have any participation in the application process or anything like that. So it's an interesting thing and a good conversation to have is like what happens in these cases, because people ask me all the time, they're like, do you find yourself in a conflicted position because of your businesses? And I've asked about this before, because one thing we do is vote on liquor licenses, and just like we have many of those kind of businesses, as long as it's not something that you have a direct conflict in. So for example, when Ricky's, my sports bar, was up for a liquor license, I removed myself from the room, did not participate in the discussion of that, did not participate in the vote for that. And that's, kind of the way that these things go. And if there's ever anything that, may be of conflict, usually the attorneys will talk to us and give us a heads up. Hey, we think that you should not participate in something like this. But because of, some of the outcry from the article and whatnot, we had gotten that ethics review and had cleared that with them, and just kind of went about our day.
Now, again, this article came out in November of last year, folks.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, but it is trending today, along with other Montgomery stories.
Sure.
Getting a lot of attention there at 1890 today, whoever's sharing it on the social medias. But where did it, I know you're not managing the sports bar, but just to put some meat on the bones here, what was the improvement?
So the storefront improvements was it was for things like we used it for flooring. We used it for updating. We had it was a nest of bad electrical that was there. So it had to be for that specific project. It had to be things that improved the physical space, right? So it was flooring, updating the electrical, some lighting things. And we built out a bit of, I don't know what the best way to describe it is, but essentially we built out a drink rail and a couple of tables. And so it was for things that were anchored, and that was kind of the way that grant was distributed. And I think there was something there was an awarding of that. I wasn't at that either. That was hosted at the MMFA with the small business one-stop shop folks and community and economic development departments. And, there were a bunch of businesses in downtown that got them, but it was to basically a way to infuse some capital to help businesses improve the spaces that they were in.
Right. And I saw the 23 Court Cigar Bar got one. I'm like, place is already pretty nice. But anyway, and I just wanted to bring that up because it's in the news. It's in the cycle.
Yeah.
It's on people's minds going around social media, but it seems pretty straightforward and cut and dry to me.
Well, it is a good thing though, because I think when these things happen, especially what's happened with, the city council seat in District 3 is, I get it. They don't have necessarily all of the information, and something like this pops up and people are like, hey, no way. The city councilor gave himself money from the city. And it's well, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. And on top of that, I took the extra step with the city's attorneys to make sure that before, because the city doesn't want to be in the headlines for something like this either,
right,
to actually reach out to the ethics commission. And that's what they're there for, is they're there to make sure that not only that they're looking at the work that we're doing, but they're also an avenue for us to say, hey, is this okay? Because you've got other, whether it be state legislators, other city councilors, mayors, whatnot, that have businesses. City council is not a full-time position. And so for some of us, we do have to make our money, pay our mortgages in certain ways. And we want to make sure, at least I want to make sure I'm doing it above board. And I'm glad to have the Ethics Commission there to be able to review these things when they come up.
Again, folks, talking to City Councilman Andrew Szymanski. If you have a comment or a question, 334-272-9228. That's 272-9228. We'll go to some phone calls here in a second. But, as you're looking forward to the next few months, like what are some of the things you're looking to get done? Some of the things that are just on your mind in terms of city business?
Yeah, well, I think everything stops with Jackson Hospital right now. There's obviously a big focus on that, and that's something that, I know we're going to be talking about. But, I was in a meeting the other day, and the mayor made a good point. There's really three things that we have to be hyper-focused on as a city: public safety, public education, and healthcare. And we have a really robust healthcare ecosystem. A lot of people saw the new announcement about Baptist South being named a level 1 trauma center. All the things that are happening in the Baptist system are fabulous. The growth, what they're doing for our community is great. And Jackson is a part of the healthcare ecosystem that we have. And as we are watching, there are rural hospitals all across Central and South Alabama that are closing. We had a few weeks ago, we were told that Jackson Hospital actually had to take in 2 gunshot victims from Bullock County because Bullock County didn't have anybody or anywhere to send them. And so in order for us to have that kind of strong healthcare ecosystem, we need Jackson Hospital to stay. 42% of their patients don't live in Montgomery or Montgomery County. And when called upon, the city council and the county commission and the governor's office have all offered to step up in an unprecedented financial way to help with this process. And of course, I'm sure you've been talking about some of the challenges. We've been reading the news about the debate between Blue Cross Blue Shield and the Jackson Group, which is this separate. I know it's kind of a coincidence that they're both Jackson, but you have Jackson Hospital that was acquired by this Georgia-based company called the Jackson Group, I think it is, with the Rick Jackson, the gubernatorial candidate at the helm. So we're looking at it. We're paying very close attention because in 2 days, we're going to know whether or not they're at a place where the hospital can chart a path forward successfully, or whether or not the Jackson Group says the numbers don't number, and we're going to be stepping away from this. And if that happens, it opens the door for an even faster potential closure of that hospital, which, while we have some great, components of our healthcare network here, losing Jackson Hospital would be a really tough thing for the city. And I hope that that's not what happens. But I also hope that no matter what, the conversations are continuing to make sure that Montgomery is keeping healthcare at the forefront for all of our citizens.
Yeah, and an email was obtained by the media that was sent out to employees there at Jackson Hospital, and it looks like we are in the final days of whether or not they're going to be able to come up with some new scheme to stay open or close. So that's impending in 48 hours, so to speak.
Yeah, and the effect of that is going to go way beyond the city of Montgomery, and that is why you have seen all of the entities involved be so vigilant. We know the governor's office has been directly involved in the conversation. The mayor's office has been, our council leadership and leadership at the county commission. I wish we had other entities that, whether it be other municipalities or counties that benefit from having Jackson Hospital as their go-to healthcare location. But, there has been a commitment on the table. Now, what happens going forward if the worst is to happen, as strong as the city is, it's going to be a tough challenge, and thank goodness we do have really other strong healthcare entities. But we're all paying very close attention. So that's the major focus of this week before we get even into the rest of the summertime.
Yeah, I'm just wondering too, and this is nothing I could prove. It's just speculation, just my gut. But are there certain big players just kind of waiting for it to all fall apart? And then, to where they don't have to deal with the legacy of what's been going on there. It's so to a different point where it's done, they can then swoop in. It just makes me wonder if that's what the game being played here, because a hospital is needed, a third hospital is needed. But I just wonder, because there's plenty of great hospital systems in this state. They're doing just fine, and you got to wonder what they're thinking about in the next, say, year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I don't know directly if anybody is. I mean, put it this way: we were in a meeting of elected officials, and I mean, what we were told was basically by all parties is we can't let Jackson fail. I mean, this is state level, federal level. People all over are saying that this is critically important. I mean, you do have the challenge of this. We're in this position not because of anything other than, almost about $150 million of deferred maintenance that hadn't been done on the buildings over the years. The $80-90 million of bad debt that was acquired by the hospital over the years. So this isn't a 2-year problem or a 1-year problem. This is a 15-year problem. And I think to your point, yes, maybe some people may be just waiting for all this to be done, but one of the things that is important for people to note is that if the hospital closes and stay closes longer than 30 days, getting it reopened is almost going to be cost prohibitive, because then you can no longer grandfather things in. So I don't know a whole lot of people that are, or a whole lot of entities that maybe, would be jumping at the opportunity to get involved, at this time, given the amount of money it would cost to bring the hospital up to code and whatnot. And again, because, my father was in the healthcare profession. He was a doctor for almost 40 years. And, we were talking about this a little bit, and Massachusetts, where I'm from, has had some similar challenges with Steward Healthcare up there. And, it is not something like you just kind of hand the keys off, flip the lights on and go, all right, you're up next, So I think there are real earnest voices in the room that want to see this thing get worked out. And you also have 2 really big businesses that are trying to do what's in the best interest of their bottom lines, their shareholders, obviously with Blue Cross Blue Shield, their customers all across the state of Alabama that are going to other healthcare locations. And so, it's a real challenge, and one we're hyper focused on.
Let's go to some phone calls here. Let's go to line 2. You're on there with Andrew Szymanski.
Hey, thanks, Joe. You're Soldier Boy. Thank you for taking my call. And thank you for your guest for showing up today.
Thank you. It's good to hear from you again.
Your first name is? Oh, I guess. I got a 2 questions. Okay. First question is sanitation. First thing is, I hear rumors that that the mayor plans on, and do you guys plan on? Are you in cahoots with him to go privatize this sanitation department? Is that true or not?
That's not something that's been presented to me. I've heard in the past some conversations and some explorations about looking at certain parts of the city if there are areas where we need assistance, but we're actually really focused on, especially as the budget year comes up, on trying to get some more and some newer vehicles into the fleet to make it easier.
That's the next question. That's the next question, Andrew, I want to ask you. I pay for my garbage and sanitation to be picked up twice a week, and I pay my bill and I pay it on time. So I hold up my end of the deal, the contract with the city. Okay, my concern is there was about a month or 2 months ago, I only got service picked up on one day, and then I had one time the guys. I couldn't believe OSHA wasn't out there. I was ready to call OSHA. Yet our garbage people were out there picking up trash at 7, 8 o'clock at night because they were so far behind. And I asked them 2 questions. I said, first of all, it can't be safe for the 2 guys in the back to be riding on the back at nighttime with the way that people drive around here. Would you agree with me, Andrew? Is that safe?
It's definitely a challenge for sure.
Definitely. I love that answer. Challenge. I wouldn't get in the back of that truck and hold on at dark time.
Oh, you're too tall.
The second thing is, well, okay, Joey, don't be sexist.
No, just keep going. You just keep going. You keep going.
Oh, yeah, threw me off. Okay, and Andrew, here's my thing is, I spoke to a couple of my garbage individuals, and I talked to a couple of city councilmen and women. I won't mention any names, but they told me the reason why we have a major problem is it's not that we don't have enough people to work. We don't have enough garbage trucks. Is that true, yes or no?
Well, we definitely have a challenge and are trying to make sure that we get more trucks in there. One of the problems that we're having too is just maintenance issues, right? So we may have the trucks, but whether or not they're out there and actually being able to be used is the challenge. And I get it. Trust me. I have a couple of neighborhoods this week that didn't get their pickup done. And if you don't think I know about it, I know about it as soon as about 10 a.m. happens. I start getting the texts and the emails, and I have a great relationship relationship with our public works and sanitation department, and I know that they are almost always, it's an issue of either personnel or equipment. And I come from an area where we only had once a week pickup. I know it's a really awesome part about being here in the city of Montgomery, and I know we pay for it. And so I know the expectation is there. And so as we get into the budgeting season, I was talking to Councilor Pruitt about this yesterday at our meeting. We are focused on trying to make sure that they have the resources that they need to be able to acquire those new trucks and get them out onto the streets.
I'm retired military, and you gotta allow them to have the resources in order to do the job. Two things to do the job: A, you got to have somebody who knows how to do the job, and B, have the tools to do the job.
Yep.
Now, here's my next question: is on our sanitation trucks. I knew in the past when I used to work, Joe, you worked with the city, and I worked for the city for 12, 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
They had our sanitation trucks were handled by our motor pool. Is that being privately contracted out too?
Like
or are we
the
repairing?
mechanics, like, is it like a city?
Yeah, we have a fleet maintenance department and a facility over by the big public works yard over by off Ripley Street. Yeah, that's done by the city.
I was told by higher ups in City Hall that it was all being contracted out. It was because it was cheaper or something, and they were getting rid of the mechanics. Yes or no?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the last that I saw, I've been over to that area and I've seen the fleet maintenance department. I've seen the workers there, talked with their director. So
were they working on the garbage trucks?
They were working on a variety of vehicles over there. So
I understand that, but I'm concerned about my garbage.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good, I mean, look, I don't have a good answer for you because I don't know the answer. So let me see if I can get that answer. And, Joey and I always talk about, like, if people, I'm happy to look into some of these things. I don't know if we've been outsourcing specifically but we can find that answer. Sure. What you got?
You talked about Jackson Hospital.
Uh-huh.
I read an article that 48% of the people that facilitate and use and visit Jackson Hospital are outside of Montgomery County, correct?
I think it's 42 is the number I was told, but we're about the same.
Okay. With that being said, I heard that, is this factual or not, that we went to Elmore County and other counties outside, and they have not given 1 cent. Is that correct? Only the state, federal, and the city of Montgomery has given money. And the county, Montgomery County commissioners did too.
Yes.
But has anybody outside any other county
Not
given any money?
Not at this point, no. Not specifically for this situation. The $80 million that you keep hearing, $40 million commitment from the state, $22.5 million from the city of Montgomery, and $17.5 from the county.
Why do you think? How is it that they can use our services and don't want to contribute? Like you said, there was 2 people that got shot out in Bullock County. What was it? You said Bullock?
Bullock, yeah. Well, I mean, look, I think this is one of the challenges about being in kind of the oldest sibling in the room, right? We are often asked as Montgomeryans to shoulder the burden for any number of things. Look at the airport. Airport needs $35 million in upgrades and maintenance, right? People from Prattville, people from Selma, people from Tuskegee and Auburn come to Montgomery to use our airport, and yet every time there's a funding need, the city of Montgomery and the Montgomery County are always the ones that are asked to bail that out. The hospital's in a crisis situation, and it needs some money to help it navigate through this bankruptcy problem. We ask everybody, and everybody looks back at us and says, the hospital's in Montgomery, that's your problem, even though 42% of the people that go there don't live in Montgomery. So, we have this challenge, and Montgomery is oftentimes asked, we have all these different things that we have to step up and take care of, that we're asking you as citizens in the city to step up and take care of. And, there's no way that I know of at the moment that compels any of those municipalities to participate in those things. And so you're very right in pointing out that it is one of the challenges that is facing this Jackson Hospital situation.
Well, I appreciate it, Soldier Boy. You definitely drink your coffee today. Sir, let's go to line 1. You're on with Counselor Andrew Szymanski.
It's supper days. Good afternoon, guys.
Hey, what's up?
The equipment issue. Who in the world is in charge of ordering, maintaining equipment for the city of Montgomery? Because the police cars have been a problem, and the sanitation. I mean, there's just no excuse in someone not being held accountable or maintaining equipment so your employees can use it. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I worked down there for 34 years. And I worked down there when they had street sweepers like they got in Tuscaloosa, and we'd provide escorts for them down the highways, and Joey probably saw them, to keep the city clean. But not maintaining your equipment, not foreseeing ahead of time, not planning that you're going to need a replacement vehicle. I mean, that's a basic city function. Now, it's not glamorous. It's nuts and bolts, and some politicians don't like to be involved in it. But that is a basic function of the city of Montgomery, to make sure they've got proper equipment for employees to use. Item number 2, Councilman, is you talked about the two individuals taken to Jackson's Hospital from Bullock County gunshot. You know why they were taken there?
Why were they taken there?
Because Baptist South was full. Jackson Hospital is a level 3, the lowest trauma level hospital. Baptist South now just got
level
1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wonderful.
all of the trauma 1. All of the gunshot victims, all of the high-priced trauma surgeons, anesthesiologists, all of the individuals that have to work on trauma patients, rollover car wrecks on 65 South, 85, they're all taking them to Baptist South because it is the trauma center. Jackson's isn't. And that's why those two individuals ended up there, because Baptist is full on any given night. And that's why they're having to bring in doctors from other parts of the state, other parts of the country, traveling nurses, to try to maintain it because they're overwhelmed. So, as you said, you know, Jackson's Hospital is critical. But maybe if we let it fail and the bankruptcy court comes in and says, okay, now somebody in a healthcare group, some friend, like you said, your relative, some friend will say, hey, we want to take it over now. We got everybody out of it. The bankruptcy court judge is in control of it. But, you know, it's just sad to see, as you said, the city that once had 3 hospitals. They used to have, I don't know if you remember, you weren't here then. They used to have a rotation system where the rotation went from Baptist South to Jackson's to Humana downtown. They rotated the ER, so they would give them a rest and let them get recharged. Let their employees get a rest, let the doctors and nurses get a rest. Well, see, that's gone now. And it's all on level 1 trauma. If they got to crack a chest and do all that stuff, you got to have the right folks in there to do that. And Jackson's doesn't have that. They're a level 3. So why should they get the same amount of money from Blue Cross that Baptist South is getting?
Well, I mean, as I said, you know, as a city councilor, you know, our role when we were reviewing what we could do to try and help with the situation was to provide, you know, a level, as I said, you know, pretty unprecedented level of funding. And the governor, you know, obviously went out on a limb and understands the importance of Jackson being a part of that 3-hospital system that we have, that we're very lucky to have, you know, and obviously, you know, we don't take lightly, you know, this situation. And thank goodness we have such a strong, you know, partner in Baptist Healthcare as well. But, you know, the governor understood that and put out, you know, while other hospitals were closing, you know, came to the table and saw the need. So, as I said, we are focused, we are committed on, and we have demonstrated that commitment as requested earlier in the year, and we don't take that lightly. So I appreciate the comments.
Well, appreciate it, Simpler Dave.
Well, have a good day.
Appreciate it, man. We do have to hit a break. We'll come back with more calls at 272-9228.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
"2026 marks 60 years that hope has had a home in Alabama. At the Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches, children who've lost everything through no fault of their own have found something priceless. A safe place to live, a loving Christian family, and the chance to simply be kids again. Here, boys and girls grow up surrounded by care, guidance, and faith, learning right from wrong, learning responsibility, learning they are valued and that their lives have purpose. As the Alabama Sheriffs have believed for 6 decades, it's easier to build boys and girls than to repair men and women. These former ranchers are now teachers, parents, business owners, and leaders, living proof that love, structure, and faith can change a life forever. As the Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches celebrate 60 years of serving Alabama's children, you can help ensure the next child has the same chance. Learn how you can make a difference at alabamasheriffsyouthranches.org. 60 years of building lives, and we're just getting started.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
Trust is the number one reason why a patient chooses a healthcare provider. Adams Drugs has been your trusted healthcare provider since 1962 and has been voted the number one pharmacy in the River region for many years. We strive each and every day to provide you the level of healthcare you have come to expect from Adams Drugs. The employees at Adams Drugs take pride in developing relationships with their patients, from making sure your prescriptions are filled correctly to getting to know you and your family's needs and following up on any questions you may have. Adams Drugs employees deliver top-notch service. We ask you to visit us at any of our locations in Montgomery, Prattville, Wetumpka, Millbrook, and Pine Level Marbury and give us a chance to earn your business. You can find us at adamsdrugs.net for the location that is nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local, independently owned Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas weather is brought to you by Victoryland.
Victoryland Casinos, crowning 25K free play giveaway. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too.
Rich Thomas weather.
Well, hi, everybody. We've got some hot and humid days in our future for the rest of the week. Today, a good bit of sunshine. I've got the rain chances today and tomorrow, really about 20% or less. So we'll say few and far between on the storms. Lows at night in the lower 70s. I think we'll be near 90 on Thursday and probably lower 90s by Friday and Saturday. So the days will be getting hotter. And not many storms on the radar this week. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
When the heat hits to the river region, don't wait. If your AC quits, Hands Heating and Air offers same-day service, or your diagnostic charge is free with their Comfort a Day or You Don't Pay guarantee, plus 24/7 service with no overtime charges.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Again, in studio with us, we have Councilman Andrew Szymanski, councilman. He's on the Montgomery City Council, folks. You know who he is.
Counselor, yeah.
And let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, this is Sam calling from Pike County.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, good afternoon. First, I'd like to say thank you to Andrew for coming in, Mr. Councilman. It's always a pleasure to know what's going on in the city, and I noticed, catch myself when I catch you on the local news, I always pay a little bit more attention to what you're saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, the talk radio works. Couple things. I've completely lost my train of thought. Let me just jump to June 19th, a few days ago, in the Troy local paper. There's an article. Miss Figures. She got Troy Regional Hospital is going to get $2 million in grant money for rural assistance to rural. So I'm just saying that it's a bill that's gone through the federal government, through Congress, and the president's about to sign it. But there were some I apologize.
You're good.
Yeah, man. No, I got the sinus drainage like crazy today. I took an antihistamine. I got run around. But that's okay. We're coming on, man. We're on there. Troy. In my lifetime, I've done some contracting. I installed all the bumper rails in Troy Hospital one year. No, Troy Hospital has been bought and sold like 4 or 5 times, and then they'll sell all the equipment out and replace it. But it's doing well now, and it's a boon to the local community. Jackson, can't imagine it being down for a while. Let me throw this last bit in there. My mother-in-law worked 30 years at Jackson. I still thought they were doing the rotation on the trauma. I didn't realize that it was down just to one hospital. And the Baptist, I saw that where they got excuse me. The sooner they do audit, the better on Jackson. I'm just going to, that's my opinion on that.
Sure.
I hope there's some money available that can be found.
Well, we've made a lot of money available, and now it's really a negotiation between, the hospital and Blue Cross Blue Shield is really what the acquisition group is kind of holding this up on, and we'll see how that bears out. But it's obviously something we're paying very close attention to. And you mentioned rural, but that is going to be, I think, probably the real kind of question. I hope our federal lawmakers do everything they can to make sure, because look, it's not just here, but everywhere in the state, we want to make sure citizens like that, we all deserve to have access to high quality health care. And that's not just for Montgomeryans, that's for all Alabamians.
Yes, sir. And and people say, well, you can get your own life flight. Hey, helicopters cost $1,000 an hour to fly somebody. No,
I'm sure it's more than that.
More than that, yeah. Oh, yeah. But I'm just. One last thing. Here we go. Here's the fun part. Parents still got property south side over Montgomery near Seth Johnson and whatnot. Yeah, man. Trash. It didn't run Thursday and Friday. So it was something like that. I think pickup came Sunday evening, but that's okay. It's Montgomery. You just have to relax. But over the years, sanitation crew was very good. As my parents got older, they come up and get the can. They don't jump in, and we got great service from the city. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a huge shout out to the sanitation folks, and thanks for pointing that out. I know a lot of the residents have developed relationships with the people that are at the end of their driveway twice a week. I know people do like Christmas gifts and thank you cards and that kind of stuff. And look, I understand, like the previous caller made the point, I pay my taxes, I pay my bill on time, and, I have an expectation of service. I get that. I totally get that. But, when it does come to things like equipment and personnel, there are some challenges. And especially when it comes to, finding, the people to staff the positions that we have, it's just a changing world right now. And whether that be that or, making sure that our wonderful Parks and Rec department is keeping our public spaces clean and cut and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot that goes into running and managing a city. I think we need to be focused on and intentional when it comes to how we're investing, making sure that we are providing all of the equipment, all of the budgetary things that we do to make sure salaries get paid, and make sure people that are giving to this city day in and day out are receiving what they expect as well. So it is. I understand. I understand the frustration, and we shouldn't sugarcoat that. It is frustrating. And it does seem like, for some of my neighborhoods, there has been a couple of more recent weeks where there's been lack of pickup. And I think also, we have to make sure that we're doing a good job of communicating because, we have some of these holidays, whatnot, 4th of July holiday. Make sure everybody's checking the schedules to understand exactly if there's going to be a disruption and something like that. So, from all standpoints, we have to make sure that we are doing the best job that we can as a city. And then when we have opportunities to do better, we take those as well.
Outstanding. Last thing for me, maintenance money. I remember in the military, maintenance. How important maintenance is a promise to the future. And there's a lot of people that don't want to spend money on maintenance, like say that whole island of Jamaica. Not Jamaica, excuse me. Puerto Rico. No infrastructure money being spent, and so they're right on the edge of having nothing. And we don't want to see the city be like that. We want our stuff taken care of because it directly helps the city. I'm rambling now.
Appreciate it, Sam. Don't let the antihistamines get the better of you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call, and I think you make a good point. Deferred maintenance and maintenance in general is just something that not just Montgomery, but I'll tell you what, if I could do it all over again, I might get into the asphalt and paving business or bridge building business because right now we're seeing it. It's not just here. It's not just Alabama. Right. It's every state in the nation is facing this crisis of investing into infrastructure, improving our roads and bridges, and we're seeing really how expensive that is. It is unbelievable how much money it costs to pave, stripe, maintain, fix curbs, gutter, all that kind of stuff, and it is a challenge because you want to do all these big innovative things. Of course, you want to make sure that you're paying all of your departments, public safety, all these kinds of things have money available when catastrophe strikes. Then also make sure that you're getting your roads and bridges repaired. So it's a lot for sure.
How are we doing recruiting? I guess I mean that in two different ways. Number one, what are our force levels? I always ask about that with the police force, but more generally, and we were talking a little off air about it, recruiting folks to come live here because I think you need a bunch of folks that are buying in, and perhaps a fresh pair of eyes or several pairs of eyes buying in and investing in the city could go a long way, but there's always that not in my backyard effect that is resistant to that. But first on the police force.
Well, yeah. So with the police force, we had really great reports about the spring and some of the recruitment classes. And so, I know that there's always the back and forth about what the actual number is, but I know we're in a much better place or in a better place. I should say much better. I'll say we're in a better place than we were before, trending over in the 270s, 280s was the last number that I was told unofficially by somebody who only had tangential information, so I'll just be pretty candid about that. Yeah. But you're right. In public safety, as crazy as it may sound to some folks, and I know I get people tell me that I'm wrong about this all the time, but look, I talked to a couple of young officers, like when they're right now, Birmingham, Huntsville, Auburn, Tuscaloosa, Mobile, they're all making big aggressive investments not only into the money that they pay and the signing bonuses. We can all match that, right? We can pay the same starting salary. We can all offer the $15,000 bonus, which was an awesome thing that we did as a council and as a city to authorize that. That's great. But guess what? If I'm 21 years old and you hand me a $55,000 a year starting salary and $7,500 signing bonus, and then 3 years later, an additional $7,500, and I've got that, and I have my choice because everybody in this state is fighting for numbers right now when it comes to police department. I'm going to take my pick, and I want them to choose Montgomery. I believe that Montgomery is a good place for a young person. It has the affordability. It has the access to other opportunity, but it has to be a fun place for young officers to come as well. Same thing for officers that were looking to transfer, right? If you're officer and you're in Duluth, Minnesota, and you're in Detroit and you're freezing every winter and you're looking at the landscape and you're kind of wondering, if I was to take a lateral transfer, we're offering bonuses for that too. So is every other municipality in the Southeast or really across the country. And are you being competitive to make them say, yeah, this is a city I want to live in? And that goes beyond just how much money they are making. And so it is important for us to be making investments in other areas. The Biscuit Stadium is a great example of that. We keep talking about some of the challenges at Whitewater. It's not where I want it to be, and I've been a big advocate for it, and I've had to swallow some words a little bit on it, but I'm still hopeful. And that doesn't mean that we need to stop. You know, we still have to figure out a way to get, as a city, we are in the business, we are competing for residents. That's where we get our tax dollars from, either people to live here or people that are coming in from outside and spending their money here. And we have to continue to find ways to invest in that in order to get people to say, yeah, I want to live in Montgomery. And I think this is a viable place for me to live.
My
And
final question, because I should have asked this of everybody I've interviewed who's on the city council. Do you live in your district?
I do actually live in my district. I live in the Cloverdale Idlewild neighborhood. And
It's a nice neighborhood. I once lived in.
Yeah, it's a great neighborhood. I love it. I've owned my house for 10 years and this June. And, you know, it's funny because, you know, some people were asking about that. And I reminded people, like, one of the challenges about being a public official is that everything's public. And so, you know, like where we live is public. And so that doesn't mean I want a bunch of friends to come over that I don't know on tomorrow night for dinner. But yes, I do live in my district.
Well, always great seeing you, man. And thank you for being a good sport, especially with some of the calls.
Oh, always.
And always welcome here.
Yeah, we'll be back in July. And then as we kind of get forward through the rest of the summer, you know, obviously we'll be getting ready for budget season. I'll remind everybody that, and I know it goes without being said, obviously you're not allowed to discharge a firearm in the city, but also fireworks are not legal inside city limits. And as the owner of 2 wonderful dogs, one really awesome dog, one's the bad dog at the moment, but 2 wonderful dogs, please do not shoot off fireworks. My dogs would very much appreciate it.
That's a good rule of thumb, folks. And plus, I'm sure there's going to be something at the riverfront and
Biscuit
Biscuit Stadium.
Festivities and Biscuits, man. The new renovation of the Biscuits. If you haven't been to the Biscuits, awesome.
Well, folks, so you got to hit this break. We'll be back with Michael Cohen.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
Hey, y'all, Lewis at the Capital Oyster Bar over here on that beautiful Alabama River, hooking up that fresh seafood for you. You know, we rent out pontoon boats. All you need is a driver's license and a credit card. We got an RV park down here. You can come down here and stay with us a little while. We got a nice bathhouse and a laundry down here, so we can take care of all your needs. And let's talk about some oysters, y'all. We're getting some oysters from Apalachicola, Florida. You know, most of my oysters are farm raised from Alabama, but Alabama shut down, and this is the first time in 15 years that we've been getting oysters from Apalachicola. So come on by, we'll shuck you some. We can throw them in the steamer and make you some oysters Rockefeller, or just cook them however you like them. We got the fried oysters, fried shrimp. Check it all out at CapitalOysterBar.com, or go to our Facebook page. You'll see a menu on there, and we got, like I say, a fryer, a steamer, and a grill. So we got something I know you're gonna like. There's no show this weekend, and as a matter of fact, this is the end of the shows for a few weeks because we're shutting down next week. That's right, our annual vacation coming up July the 4th. But we'll be here this week, and we'll feed you some good seafood. Come on down here hungry, bring your crew with you.
This is your roving reporter. Today I'm talking with a man from outer space.
What's up, Earthling?
I see you've landed your spacecraft over there in that field.
That's right, man.
My question is, why have you landed here on our planet?
I came to see David Ernest.
The asset preservationist?
Yeah, man. I wanted to see if he would take a look at my portfolio for me.
Well, before you make the trip over there, call him on his toll-free number, 833-596-7233.
And I understand those last 4 digits spell out the word safe.
That is correct.
Funny thing happened the last time I came to Earth.
What was that?
I went to the Walmart, man.
Yes?
And I accidentally went in the back door.
How did that work out?
Well, they stopped me and very gently told me that I needed to go around front and come in.
And then what did you do?
I said, cool, man. Take me to your greeter.
You flew millions of miles just for that.
Hey, man, I don't ride them. I just read them.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Michael Cohen with Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Just cruising through the day, trying to just have hope. I'm hoping and praying for Montgomery, especially for a new mayor. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Let's you and I were talking off air. Let's do a little bit of a history lesson for folks today.
Well, I had a customer that came in today, and way back when we were in Normandale, we sold a line of speakers, which we still carry today, called Klipsch. They were built in Hope, Arkansas, made some really cool little speakers. Their baby speakers were called the Heresies, which by anybody's standards today is huge. It's about the size of a subwoofer or even bigger today. But they weren't bookshelf speakers, but they were floor speakers that were very short. They came up to your knees. Anyway, he bought them from us, paid about $300 for them back then. The new versions today are $2,000. And so anyway, he was excited, but he brought them in, said he'd been storing them. He wanted to see if they still worked. We hooked them up. They still worked. He bought a new receiver for his daughter so he could give her something for Christmas. But as we're loading him in his car, he's like, we got an extra bedroom. I think I want to take that over and make it a music room.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure she's going to get this. and I'm like, good luck. You need to talk to your wife about this. So, but it was funny that he came in here with the premise that it was going to be for his daughter. And after he heard everything, he's like, I think I'm going to keep this.
Yeah, that works really good. I think it probably took him
really
back
good
to his younger days.
Well, and then just knowing that the speakers are $2,000 a piece today, it excited him that he's got almost the same speaker, and he's already got them paid for. So anyway, it's nice to see the stuff that came back from. There was in Normandale. We moved out here in '77, so it's pre-'77, and they all still worked.
That's awesome.
You could see where somebody put a big round dish on top that had leaked water. There's a water stain on the walnut, but other than that, they look good.
I mean, we talk about the Cohen's legacy all the time and how long y'all been in business, and there's a shining example right now. Something sold before the '70s, still alive and kicking.
Yeah, before Joey.
Oh, long before Joey.
Yeah.
But folks, if you want to find anything, any sort of just advice, maybe you are trying to set something up for your daughter that you're actually going to take for yourself, or maybe you're looking to get a new washer dryer unit or big brand new TV or a new grilling option. They got that there at Cohen's across the board. They can help you out. You can always go to thinkcohens.com, but I really encourage you to stop by 2515 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery and just stop by. I mean, it's really as simple as stop by, start the conversation, what you need, what you want. And maybe you're just window shopping. You might find something that catches your eye. They're open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And find Mike will be like, hey, I heard you on the radio show with that Joey Clark fella.
That's right. Come see us, ask us some questions, let us answer your questions, and we'll ask you some questions, and let us help you make the right decision for whatever your needs are. And have a great day.
Appreciate you, Michael. Talk again soon. Again, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. And this entire hour has been brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. They can help you with getting a home. Maybe you're looking to buy a home, purchase a home, or it could be you're looking to refinance that current home. Whatever your goals, they can help you at Alabama Home Mortgage. And if you're looking to buy, maybe you've been on the bubble and thinking about it for a while. You occasionally look online at some of the listings. But why not go ahead and start the process? Go ahead and get pre-approved. Doesn't mean you have to pull the trigger tomorrow or the next week or the next month even. But go ahead. See how much you get pre-approved for. That way you can shop with confidence. Sellers will take you more seriously. And perhaps once you start that first step, you'll want to take the second, third, fourth step. And that's Alabama Home Mortgage. They can be with you, helping to guide you every step of the way from pre-approval all the way to closing day. And of course, if you're looking to refinance that current home, if you have equity built up in your home for reinvesting in yourself, your property, your family, or perhaps restructuring debt, shoring up a retirement fund, going on that big vacation, whatever the goal, they can help you there at Alabama Home Mortgage. So check them out today. You can always start the conversation at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies like Kim and Madeline. Prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Today is the 4-year anniversary of the repeal of Roe v. Wade. Marjorie Dansenfelser of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America says the next battle in the country will be over abortion pills. The head of the UN Nuclear Agency says that Iranian nuclear enrichment sites will be visited by inspectors. That's a key component in the interim U.S.-Iran deal to reach an end to the war. An Iranian diplomat promptly rejected that claim, saying later today that such a visit can only come after a final deal is already made. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the other major indexes for that matter have been up and down so far today. It's the Dow still treading water, way up in positive territory, actually by 210 points. The Nasdaq has reversed course, however. Right now, it's off by about 93. The S&P 500 slipping below the even mark. It's down by 14 points. This is SRN News.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. It's more than just great prices on lumber. From Trex decking to energy-efficient windows and Tamco shingles, Alabama Wholesale Lumber has it all.
Well, hi, everybody. We've got some hot and humid days in our future for the rest of the week. Today, a good bit of sunshine. I've got the rain chances today and tomorrow, really, about 20% or less. So we'll say few and far between on the storms. Lows at night in the lower 70s. I think we'll be near 90 on Thursday and probably lower 90s by Friday and Saturday. So the days will be getting hotter. And not many storms on the radar this week. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
1819 News.
The City Council of Montgomery met this past Tuesday night and considered a situation where a council member is not living within the district she was elected to represent. The city council member in question is Marcia Johnson. She purchased a home in 2024 that is outside of District 3. The council unanimously approved a resolution to vacate Johnson's seat and instead to hold a special election to fill the vacant seat. That special election has been set for September 1st. Candidates who seek to qualify for this race can do so until July 14th. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Covenant Rescue Group seeks to directly support organizations and agencies that are fighting the global battle against human trafficking. They do this through funding, procuring, and advocating. You can go to covenantrescue.org for further details. They need your donations, guys. Hop on and donate.
A Birmingham resident who recently spoke at a Birmingham City Council meeting this past Tuesday ended up being physically removed by police officers from that meeting. Terry Michael has been engaged in Birmingham politics for some time, and especially most recently in demanding answers and government transparency on the data centers that are being built in the greater Birmingham area. Terry Michael took to social media after her removal from that meeting.
Whenever a hyperscale data center were to come into Birmingham, we should have had a public hearing, but they took that away. So yeah, I'm speaking up, but I haven't been disrespectful to treat a citizen like this and to have no warning. I mean, all of a sudden, those cops were just on both sides of me, and they're grabbing my shoulders and they're throwing me out. So I am really, really worried about the city of Birmingham and what in the world is going on with these data centers to make them act this way. I don't know.
I'm Andrea Thompson.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
Tired of spending your weekends fighting weeds, patchy grass, and a mower that never starts? Mosley Lawn Pros is the solution. They handle residential and commercial lawn maintenance, landscaping, cleanups, and property care so you don't have to. They show up on time, do the job right, and leave your lawn looking sharp every time. Stop stressing over your yard and start loving it. When it comes to your lawn, call the crew your neighbors and local businesses trust. One call, one crew, problem solved. Mosley Lawn Pros, built on hard work, driven by quality. Find them today on Facebook or Google.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Welcome to Eclectic Coins, Montgomery's largest coin dealer, specializing in buying and selling investment-grade gold and silver coins. And they have a large selection of rare coins and coins from around the world. Visit them at 543 Northeastern Boulevard or on the web at eclecticcoins.com. Eclectic Coins, where collectors who know go.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. So again, at the end of yesterday's business in the United States Senate, or something around yesterday, they finally passed this big housing thing. And in fact, I'm looking at a post here from Senator Katie Boyd, Britt, saying, "Last night I presided over the Senate as we passed the bipartisan 21st Century Road to Housing Act. This landmark legislation includes my Helping More Families Save Act, which will expand participation in the HUD, Housing and Urban Development Family Self-Sufficiency Program. Proud to see this bill to help move families off of the government assistance and towards economic independence head to the House and then the president's desk." And so here's that clip of Senator Britt presiding over this.
Question occurs on the motion to concur with the amendment. The yeas and nays were previously ordered. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Mr. Armstrong, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso.
And the U.S. Senate now holding its only scheduled vote for the day.
and it passed. But earlier today, Donald Trump put this out. "Today's housing news conference and signing is hereby canceled until such time as we pass the desperately needed Save America Act, which I consider to be a national emergency. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT." And jumping in on this action is now a U.S. Representative, Congressman Barry Moore. He is, of course, the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate in Alabama. After winning that runoff against Jared Hudson, he put this out on X, responding to Trump, saying, "There is no legislation that is more important than the Save America Act. The Senate needs to listen to the president and nuke the filibuster to pass the Save America Act. Of course, Senator Britt voted in favor of the bill. It passed 85-5 by the U.S. Senate. Katie Britt voted for it. U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville voted against the legislation. And of course, the Save America Act would require voters to provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote in federal elections. So, yeah, I guess after they've counted all the gays and nays, we were able to, come to a standstill thanks to the President of the United States. And honestly, anytime I see a big government package about making something cheaper, I'm generally like, what? I mean, you're going to make it more expensive, right? Now, speaking of the SAVE Act, this is something I first heard from Gary Palmer about how to make this something that goes through the reconciliation process where you only need 50 votes in the Senate. You don't need 85. You don't need 56. You don't need 60. You just need 50, and the vice president can break a tie. Well, here's Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, talking about this possibility, since the president seems pretty adamant about this.
He's laser focused on Save America Act, as most common sense Americans are. The only path, I think, to get that done, because you're never going to get 7 Democrats to join 53 Republicans in the Senate to do that. They will not do it. Chuck Schumer will never vote for that or release any Democrat to do it. You have to put it on a reconciliation bill. We believe that if you create a grant program that ties it to reconciling the budget, and you allow blue states, if they come to their senses and they want to avail themselves of election integrity proposals and ideas and policies, they can draw down from a federal fund and use those funds. We're willing to invest heavily in that. And House Republicans will put together a reconciliation bill, Reconciliation 3.0, that will have that. I talked the president through that in detail this morning, as I have in the past, and he said, can we do it? I said, we can, if the Republicans will stand together. We're on the line right now to defend it. Hold on. So that's what we're going to do. The president said, I want to see some progress on it. I said, I'd love to show it to you. We got a meeting today and some more coming up. And so he decided, and I didn't announce it, I wanted him to announce it, but we're delaying this. As you know, he has a window of time before he has to sign a bill, and he's going to use a little bit more of that window of time, and we're going to go through this together. Now, the housing bill is a great product because this guy right here fought like a warrior poet to defend our principles. It did have a lot of Elizabeth Warren's preferences and policy provisions in the original.
Yeah. It did have Elizabeth Warren. We cleaned it up, but 80, like most people still voted for it in Washington because it's a big Christmas tree. Everybody gets a gift. Santa brought everybody something, which makes people happy in the moment, and it's easy to vote for in the moment. But I do wonder about the long run here. Of course, earlier today, there was a big ruling by a D.C. appeals court. Federal appeals court handed President Trump a significant win in his mass deportation efforts with a ruling Tuesday reviving his administration's move to speed up deportations of undocumented immigrants in the United States. The ruling from the U.S. District Court of Appeals, U.S. D.C. District Circuit Court of Appeals, allows the Trump administration to cast a wider net over who's subject to the fast-track deportation procedure known as expedited removal, which allows immigration authorities to remove an individual from the country without a hearing before an immigration judge. The decision allows the administration to move forward with its plan to quickly deport undocumented immigrants who are residing in the United States and can't prove they've lived in the country continuously for 2 years or more. Interesting. A trial court has previously blocked the administration's January 21st, 2025 maneuver to expand the policy beyond just migrants who are apprehended within 100 miles of a land border and within 14 days of arrival. Judges Justin Walker and Naomi Rao, both Trump appointees, sided with the administration. Judge Robert Wilkins, who was put on the bench by President Obama, dissented. Shocking. The majority opinion by Walker rejected the challenger's arguments that the expanded policy would violate the Constitution's right to due process. The Department of Homeland Security General Counsel James Percival celebrated the ruling on X, saying the D.C. Circuit vindicated the administration. For years, DHS has arbitrarily limited expedited removal to 14 days, even though it applies to illegal aliens who entered the country illegally within the last 2 years. Today, the D.C. Circuit vindicated our decision to apply the law as written. Percival said, adding, it's not too late to self-deport. and receive a $2,600 stipend the administration has offered. The Trump administration's push for fast-track deportations will subject people to an unfair and error-prone system. The ruling undermines the fundamental principle that people receive due process when the government seeks to deport them, said a senior staff attorney with the ACLU's Immigrants' Rights Project and lead counsel. They said they're exploring next steps. But yeah, puts a big tool back in the toolbox there for the Trump administration on their efforts in regards to illegal immigration. Now, that's not all that's going on, though. Trump also threatening big oil, because we live in this day and age. The big oil companies are not dropping their price at the pump commensurate with the sharply lower prices they are paying for oil. Those prices are dropping like a rock. In other words, customers are being gouged. Gouged is quote-unquote gouged. I've instructed the DOJ to immediately start looking into this. Gasoline prices better start going down a lot faster than what I'm seeing. And by the way, the president was on Capitol Hill today. He had a lunch with the senators in the GOP caucus there. And so let me try to find that real quick, because this is happening in the last hour or so as we were talking local issues. Trump going and greeting the cameras after this dinner. And John Thune and Barrasso and Rick Scott, they all look so excited after that lunch meeting. Like, it was all just love. It was all love, folks. There was no threats made. There was none of that made. None of that was needed. But here, let's check out some of what the president had to say. Here, let's just add this one real quick. Again, just breaking, the White House putting out these clips of them walking out.
Every election's important. We're doing very well. They want a lot of communists to come in. I'm saying it a little bit differently, but the people that they're pushing are communists, and this country is not going to have communists. Thank you.
So Trump coming out and really enjoying the
we had a really
spotlight.
great meeting, and we're very proud of the party. We like everybody really in the room. I don't like a few people, but that's okay. I think you know who they are. But I'll give you that information someday. But for the most part, we have a really well unified party, and I said it very strongly. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the most powerful. We're the smartest. We're the most respected. 2 years ago, we were a laughingstock all over the world. We had a terrible group of people representing us. Every leader, I just left G7. Every leader, and we had a lot of people in addition to G7, as you know, came. Everyone said, what we've done in a year and a half is a miracle. We have the hottest country in the world, and we want to keep it that way. We have more factories being built right now than we have at any point at any time in the history of our country, and all of those factories are opening up soon. It's all jobs, and our job numbers are incredible anyway. I see that oil just broke the $70 number. Who would have thought that was going to happen? And that's during a war, and Iran is being very nice. They're agreeing to everything that I want. And they have to. Otherwise, we just go back and do what we have to do. Thank you very much.
But apparently the inside scoop is Trump did not hold back in his lunch with the Senate Republicans. Spent 90% of his time, 90% of that lunch railing on rhinos like Lisa Murkowski, Bill Cassidy, and Mitch McConnell. That was according to Punchbowl News. So you can see all the stern faces don't match Trump's energy. He came in there and had to smack them around a little bit. And given the way the Senate works, I just have a sense that they don't like to smack each other around too much unless, well, they can actually get away with it. Then they like a good smack. And speaking of Iran, Marco Rubio was asked about all sorts of stuff in regards to Iran earlier today. And, of course, I believe he's in the Middle East about a peace deal between Lebanon and Israel, or at least a security agreement and understanding. But here is Secretary of State now in the Middle Eastern theater. We saw J.D. Vance all last week. Let's get a view of Marco at work.
Concerns at all that the GCC are planning to meet with Oman and Iran to discuss this new quote-unquote mechanism that the Iranians have
No, I think they'll be against it. I think the whole world will be against any mechanism that charges money to use an international waterway. It's that simple. The president's already said it. That's not going to happen. When we mean open the straits, we mean open the straits free in international waterways. So we'll express that tomorrow. I am certain that not only will every country in the Gulf region be supportive, probably with the exception of Iran, but all the GCC members will be supportive, but the whole world will be supportive. I know of no country on the planet that supports tolling or a fee for the use of the straits. That's not going to happen. The president has been abundantly clear. Concerns.
And Trump, as you just heard him say, leaving that Senate lunch, Iran's giving me everything I want. Of course, Iran's saying all the opposite stuff, like this was the capitulation, this was the surrender of the United States. Mm-hmm. So here's Rubio commenting further on this 60-day period. These negotiations, and it is a bit up in the air. That's kind of the nature of these sorts of things. It's not going to be all built in a day. Let's listen to the Secretary of State.
Look, obviously, anytime you enter into a negotiation, it's a process of give and take. This is a temporary measure. It's for 60 days. And as a result, we expect them to live up to the commitments they made in Switzerland. If they don't live up to those commitments, the president has a lot of options at his disposal, including, I'm not saying he's going to do it, I'm saying including reversing these sanctions. They made very straight up commitments in Switzerland, and the president has been very clear they need to keep those commitments. If they do, we'll keep forward. If not, the president will have options at his disposal for what to do about it.
Options. No, I think a lot of it is actually economic sanctions. And then Rubio commenting on the Lebanese armed forces. Because, this is like the last front that's the big sticking point, especially with Hezbollah being there in the southern part of the country, firing rockets into Israel then taking the southern part of the country for defensive reasons, and then blowing up Beirut some more, and it's just a whole mess. But let's listen in. Last clip here from the Secretary of State.
Well, the only reason Israel is in Lebanon is because Hezbollah launches rockets and drones from there. They've made that clear, and the talks continue today. They started yesterday. They'll go on today. They'll go on tomorrow, and that's exactly that they're talking to the Lebanese about with our mediation, and that is our hope that the Lebanese armed forces and the legitimate sovereign Lebanese government will continue to be able to control and secure more and more of their own territory, because that's who needs to control Lebanese territory, not a terrorist group like Hezbollah. So that's the goal, and I think the Israelis have been clear. They don't have any quarrels with the Lebanese people. They don't have any claims on the territory of Lebanon. The reason why they're involved there is because territory of Lebanon is being used to launch drones and missiles against Israel. But the more of that area the Lebanese armed forces is able to secure, the less of it's in Hezbollah's control, the less Israel will be in Lebanon. But obviously that's the process we're working through right now with these talks. That's at the core of these talks.
Is it your assessment that the Lebanese armed forces today, as it stands, are capable enough, trustworthy enough to actually...
Well, that's what we have to do. Look, we have to build up that capacity. That's been a long-standing challenge. I think the willingness is there. I think we need to help build up that capacity. And one of the issues that's been discussed in these negotiations is about the creation of pilot zones, specific defined areas where the Lebanese armed forces can go in, take control and secure that territory, and then move on to the next pilot zone. So it'll be a process. This is not going to happen overnight. I remind everybody that Israel was conducting operations in southern Lebanon well before this operation happened. And this is something we all want to see resolved for the future of Lebanon. We want to see a Lebanon that's in the control of their legitimate government, where there is no foreign government encroaching on their territory. And I want to reiterate that the Israelis have told us, and that is the only reason why they're there is because Hezbollah is launching against their people.
Oh, what a mess, man. All these different plates up in the air, spinning away. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey.
Hey, man, can you, not call the show every other second?
I wanted to ask...
Robert, stop it. Stop. Seriously, how many beers are you in today, man? Goodness gracious, dude. Anyway. This is why I don't go to the phones when I'm by myself as much. Anyway. 272-9228. If you want to be an actual caller, and we can play roulette there with whether or not it's Robert or somebody else. Let's go to Coach Tuberville, who is not just Barry Moore, Coach Tuberville, who voted against this big housing bill, road to the 21st century thing, defending the president's action of holding it up, not doing the signing ceremony. Let's listen in.
Yeah, that's a no-go. He's not going to take anything out of the Save America Act. What's in there needs to stay. We just talked about the avenues of the talking filibuster, or voting out the regular filibuster and voting it in. Because this is, and President Trump's right here. Again, I travel the country. If we don't do something with the filibuster and we don't get things passed, it'll be the last time we'll have a Republican president or a Republican Senate or a House. That's how fast this country is going down to communism. And we need to stop it. We can stop it. It's balls in our court. President Trump said that, balls in your court. I'm here to support you. Let me know if there's anything I can do. But this is what we have to do to save the United States of America from communism. He's exactly right.
So not surprised that Tuberville's giving him dogged support. But you got to wonder, can he get it done with just 50? Because it doesn't look like McConnell or Collins or Murkowski or Tillis, any of these folks are really going to budge, which is a crying shame. And, Thune wants to act like, well, it's just math. Well, put it through reconciliation already. Let's actually get something done here. Now, another angle to the Iran thing, we have the Treasury Secretary who went on CNBC, and he was talking about more the economic aspect of, using dollar dominance to make sure we're getting, the advantage for the American people. Isn't it fun running an empire?
Dollar dominance is essential, and everything President Trump is doing here is, if you look, the new Venezuela is invoicing in dollars. They're coming back onto the dollar system. They've been sanctioned. They were not allowed to translate or to transact in dollars, and now the dollar is going to be the centerpiece of their trade. They were selling discounted oil to China and not getting dollars. We're seeing in the Iranian negotiations, the Iranians will be invoicing in dollars. So everything we are doing is pushing the dollar back. It's never left as the centerpiece for the global currency system, but we're reinforcing it. I would anticipate when the Russia-Ukraine conflict ends, that Russia will want to come back in the dollar system because, again, the dollar, it's our liquidity, it's our capital markets, it's the depth and breadth. Everyone wants to be here. And I think many times, the great thing about the United States is we course correct when we go too far one way or the other. And I think we should not be shy about flexing where we have advantages, and where we have advantages, share with our allies and push back on those who are not aligned with us.
So, there are a lot of ways we can flex our muscles, but just my takeaway from all that's happening in the news is, again, how many plates they got spinning in the air. We're going to hit a quick break. We'll be right back with a update. The Southern Poverty Law Center, Southern Law, they found a new chief, a new CEO, a new president for the SPLC. We'll do a little profile on who that fella is after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
For many homeowners, there's untapped reserves hiding in plain sight. It's not in the savings account. It's not in the stock market. It's right under your roof. Now more than ever, homeowners are sitting on record levels of home equity, and that equity belongs to you. It can be used to consolidate high-interest credit card debt, to pay expensive school tuition, to cover medical expenses, to invest in renovations, you name it, because that money is yours. This isn't about taking on unnecessary debt. It's about using an asset you already own to improve your financial position and your quality of life. The key is understanding your options and choosing the strategy that fits your goals. Let's see what's possible with the equity in your home. Give us a call at Alabama Home Mortgage today at 334-567-4223 or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586368, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, everyone. Robbie Pelt with Capital City Roofing.
If you think about it, your home is your biggest investment in life. Your roof covers your home, so why jeopardize your biggest investment on a roofer you don't know anything about when you can deal with a reputable roofing company like Capital City Roofing? We have an A+ Better business rating and the best manufacturers and workmanship warranties available. We do all residential and commercial roofing applications that are certified through the manufacturer to ensure you get the best material and workmanship money can buy. We also have your project in our best interest before and after construction has been done. Don't hesitate to call us if you have any roofing issues or questions. We will match any of our competitors' price and give you the same great workmanship warranty. We also give free estimates. Give us a call today and let us show you the difference. 277-3311. That's 277-3311. Or you can check us out on the web at www.capitalcityroofing.com. Capital City Roofing. We capitalize the roofing industry.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
At Sweet Creek Farm Market in Pike Road, you'll find farm fresh, locally grown produce all season long. Alabama tomatoes, Hilton County peaches, sweet corn, squash, zucchini, cucumbers, peas, butter beans, farm fresh eggs, local meat, milk, and so much more. Many of the fruits and vegetables come straight from Sweet Creek Farm's own fields. Visit Sweet Creek Farm Market today, just south of Montgomery on Highway 231. Remember, buy fresh, buy local, buy Sweet Creek Farms.
This is your roving reporter. Today I'm talking with a prospector.
That's right, man. I'm prospecting for gold. You dig?
No, but it looks like you do.
And you know the first thing I'm going to do when I strike it rich?
What's that?
I'm going to hire David Ernest to be my money man.
You mean everyone's favorite asset preservationist?
That is correct, man. I'm going to call him up at 833-596-7233. 833-596-SAFE.
You know, I've heard a lot of good things about David Ernest.
You know, he's the best money man around with over 40 years of experience.
Experience is necessary, especially when you're digging for gold.
That's right, man.
And I can see that you don't have very much experience.
What do you mean, man?
Well, you have the little plastic bucket and shovel like a kid would take to the beach.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to start out small and then kind of pace myself up until I strike it rich.
Well, maybe you should call David Ernest first.
You think he's got a shovel?
Never know till you ask.
I dig, man.
Hey Biscuits fans, make Wednesdays a night to remember with 334 nights at Davos Park. Fans can enjoy $3 hot dogs, $3 peanuts, and $4 craft beer cans while cheering on the Biscuits. It's fun, affordable, and the perfect midweek escape. Get your tickets at biscuitsbaseball.com or call 323-BALL. Butter up!
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Weather, a service of H&H Carpets, where right now, get a load of this, listen close, you get a house full of carpet for $19.95 installed. Unbelievable. They're located at 6450 Atlanta Highway, just across from Walmart.
Well, hi, everybody. It is a pretty routine June forecast. I think any showers and storms on the radar early this evening will fade out quickly. Otherwise, a very muggy night, overnight low temperature in the lower 70s. Plenty of sunshine with a high temperature near 90 on Thursday. Any storms few and far between. Then expect lower 90s on Friday and Saturday and maybe low to mid 90s by Sunday. It's a steamy forecast. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Life's a beach with an ASE loan financing the fun you deserve. It's your summer, your way. ASE has the funds. Apply online or at any of our 9 locations.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your goals, your ASE.
Federally insured by NCUA.
The River Region's News Talk station. News Talk 93.1, WACV. News Talk 93.1.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. And we need to welcome the new president of the SPLC, because apparently the Southern Poverty Law Center has announced its next president and CEO amid their federal indictment into alleged fraud regarding payments to members of the Klan, including for cross-burning materials. And apparently there's this whole love story going on there. Now, I've heard of many love stories, and as a hopeless romantic, getting way too old for being one, but, you know, I know some guys in their 60s and 70s are still that way, so I come by it honestly. It's a hopeless romantic. You love to hear a good love story, like how people met. And if it's like I was in the Klan and she was working for the Southern Poverty Law Center, and we just, the sparks. But they've named a new president and CEO, Ryan P. Haygood. He currently serves as the president and CEO of the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. He'll formally join the SPLC in August. Haygood saying, "I am humbled and honored to join the SPLC's incredible team and stellar board at this pivotal moment." Guess did they find themselves a wartime consigliere? I don't know. Let's look at this guy. Haygood has repeatedly advocated for the claim that America is still systemically, not systematic, it's systemically racist, despite the civil rights movement's progress. In 2021, he described the mission of the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice as, quote, to topple load-bearing walls of structural inequality using, quote, cutting-edge racial justice advocacy to build reparative systems that create wealth, transform justice, and harness democratic power. He claimed the COVID-19 pandemic exposed the pre-existing and deeply embedded cracks of structural racism in New Jersey's foundations. In February of 2024, the new president of the SPLC, Mr. Haygood, claimed that the $300,000 racial wealth gap in New Jersey reflects something inherently wrong with the system in which we operate, going back to slavery, which shaped every aspect of our founding and every aspect of our present-day reality. And under Haygood's leadership, the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice created the New Jersey Reparations Council. The council published a report in June 2025 calling not just for direct payments to black people, but also comprehensive policy change, saying, quote, because slavery harmed both enslaved and free black people, and because segregation and institutional racism have harmed descendants of enslaved people, as well as black people who arrived in New Jersey well after slavery, all black people in New Jersey are eligible for reparations, the report states. It claims that, quote, the only way to close the racial wealth gap is through direct payments to black individuals, with a capital B, baby, in tandem with transformational policies that change systems. These quote-unquote policy remedies include a government entity to oversee reparations, reforms to expand quote-unquote democracy, such as lowering the voting age to 16 years old. Talk about young, dumb, and full of ideas. Change it to 16 years old for non-federal elections, passing a constitutional amendment guaranteeing a right to full employment, increasing the minimum wage, creating programs to prioritize hiring racial minorities in medicine, cutting carbon emissions on the basis that highways were historically constructed to go through black neighborhoods so vehicles pose a greater threat to the health of black communities, establishing a government-created legal defense fund to institutionalize lawsuits against quote-unquote polluters, and shifting funds away from police and towards non-law enforcement multidisciplinary response teams. It's a lot of stuff right there. My main takeaway, that sounds like a lot of great stuff for upper middle class folks to make a lot of money, pretending like they're solving a problem. Before joining the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, Haygood served as Deputy Director of Litigation at the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. According to his Institute profile, Haygood led LDF's successful challenge to Texas racially discriminatory photo ID law, which Haygood argued was an unconstitutional poll tax. In 2011, Texas passed Senate Bill 14, which required all in-person voters in the Lone Star State to present a valid photo ID when voting. U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder objected to the law, claiming that it violated Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act because it would disproportionately affect black voters. While a federal district court upheld Holder's objection, the Supreme Court later ruled in Shelby County v. Holder in 2013 that the formula for Section 5 was unconstitutional. After the voter ID law went into effect, voter turnout actually increased in Texas, even in urban counties with large minority populations. But he called it an unconstitutional poll tax. Now, it actually sounded like a constitutional voter integrity measure. Haygood presents his Christian faith publicly. His LinkedIn profile references Micah 6:8, which states that God requires people to, quote, do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. His profile describes him as saved by God's grace and cites 2 Timothy 1:7, in which St. Paul writes that God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. Haygood and his wife reportedly mentor young people through CHOSEN, otherwise known as Chosen, a Newark-based group that, quote, seeks to prepare young people for purpose-driven living by developing and supporting spiritual growth, character, educational excellence, leadership, advocacy, and community service. The SPLC may have chosen Haygood as CEO in part to address the accusations that the SPLC is anti-Christian. Haygood's faith arguably does not answer this charge, however, because the SPLC still demonizes traditional Christian doctrine on marriage and sexuality as hateful. Yeah. Now, a lot of this always comes across to me as like, if only we just had more socialism, if only we just had more communism, then we could fix all the racial problems. And that's the way that you become true Christians. Not humbling yourself before the Lord your God. And yes, following all his commandments. Micah 6:8 is onto something about doing justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. But that's not how you actually do the will of your Lord. What you need to do is vote the right way. And we need to start saving people with this government. That'll really solve the problem. And, and that all that outdated stuff on, like, sodomy, and it's just outdated. And just hateful and wrong. Because we were able to just update things, essentially. We've been updating things for the last 500, 600 years. How many updates can we take at this point? Anyway, that's a little bit of a profile on the Southern Poverty Law Center. They have put out a new fella to be the new president and CEO of their organization. We'll see how it works out for him. I don't know, it just seems like a probably fairly smart dude who thinks of himself as well-meaning. He's going to make a big paycheck, baby. But of course, he'll make that paycheck by doing all those good things, right? You mean advancing policies that are never going to see the light of day? that constantly perpetuate narratives that raise up a golden calf that people worship instead of the Lord Almighty. Yeah. But, good for him. Good for the SPLC. We'll see how they do in court. Because I have a sense that more stuff's going to come down as the SPLC is further investigated by the DOJ and other partners. Might be fascinating to see just how deep this rabbit hole goes. So a lot of people have suspected for years that not only are they doing their own thing, that they have been essentially a carve-out for a lot of, well, what the government was officially doing on behalf of the left in this country. Anyway, times they are changing. And welcome to Montgomery, Brian Haygood, man from New Jersey, coming to help with Southern poverty through the law or something. Anyway, got to hit another break. We'll be right back after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
We get this question all the time.
Do you handle that?
Buying or selling a home?
Yes.
Commercial?
Yes.
Land or investments?
Absolutely. Hannah and Eddie Realty Group. One team.
Every real estate move. 334-322-0662.
Running a facility is already demanding. You don't have time for miscleaning, sick days, or inconsistent results. At Janney King Gulf Coast, we have a proven method to solve those problems. Our franchise owners are trained and supported, and our franchise model means the people cleaning your building care about the outcome as much as you do. If your cleaning company is creating more work instead of preventing it, it's time for a clean that you can count on. Visit JannyKingCleans.com to learn more.
Hi, I'm Doug Tullis with Eclectic Coins, 543 Northeastern Boulevard. Since I've partnered with Blue Water Broadcasting, my business has grown more than I could ever imagine. If you're looking to grow your business, please consider giving Blue Water Broadcasting a call. They work for me. I know they'll work for you.
Our advertisers are our biggest advocates. Call us to find out how radio can increase your bottom line. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Man, it's been a great day. Just got off a webinar with my lady that handles all of our website, way above my head. I just sit there and you say, yes, yes. Okay, great. I have no clue what you're talking about.
But it still looks great, right?
It looks great. Hey, our website looks very professional. I just pay it every month and say, yes, thank you. Yes, that sounds good. Yes. I appreciate that. So that's how I handle website. Because we don't have have you ever been on our website?
Actually, no, I've been more just going straight to the source talking to you every day, but I could look it up right.
Well, the website is just Prattville Carpet.
It's PrattvilleCarpet.com.
It looks so professional. This lady, Maddie's been doing it for years, and it's just, she makes me look really good. I even had my competitors call and say, man, your website looks good. Where do you get it from? I said, Ralph down the street.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. You ain't lying, man. This is a beautiful website. Well constructed.
But there again, they try to explain to me how to make a watch and just telling me what time it is. And I just have to sit there and grin and look really like I know what they're talking about.
Now, folks, you can get a good look at all the different products on there. And this is, again, just PrattvilleCarpet.com, and including the smart strip.
Yeah, you can go in and ask for click on it and ask for us to come out and give you a measurement. And you can, if you see a product you like, you can click on it and get a free piece, like a little sample sent to your house.
Ooh.
I think it's all kind of neat stuff on it. I don't ever talk about the website. I forget about it until we get up a meeting like this, and then it's back on my mind again.
Well, and it always helps when
So,
you
yeah.
got a cute dog on the Smart Strand carpet at the very top.
That's right. That's right. Not my dog. My dog's a Doberman. Of course, I do have a cute. Fifi's real cute. I could put her on there, I suppose. But if y'all are looking for a floor, it's a really easy way to go on there, check out what we've got. Like I said, the samples are free. If you want to click on the sample free, if you don't have time to call the store, or you can click on it, ask for somebody to come out and set what time you want to be there. We'll have somebody there for you. So it's a neat little way to get in contact with us. Or you can just call us at 285-8117.
Again, that's 285-8117, and be sure to tell them you heard Ray Bowles on the radio with that Joey Clark fella.
Joey, have a great day.
You too, Ray. So, coming to the close of things here. It's good seeing Andrew Szymanski. For those who just checking in, Marsha Johnson's no longer on the city council because she doesn't live in her district. It's the rule. You could be excited about it, you could be upset about it, but that's just plain as day. Like, you need to live in the district that you supposedly represent. Also, Trump got a new tool back in the toolbox when it comes to immigration enforcement, now being able to deport folks who have been here 2 years or less. Can't show they've been here more than 2 years without a judge, without going in front of an immigration judge. That was just handed down by the D.C. Circuit Appeals Court. And, of course, there's one story here that I didn't really get into, but it's a new study that has found, there's a little bit of bias when it comes to public libraries and publishers and how they are, telling American history. And, as we head into America's 250th anniversary party, it's interesting to see how, certain organs of power, so that's one way to think of, say, your universities and public libraries and publishers. But a new report alleges that public libraries and publishers are censoring faith from the American story while actively pushing progressive revisionist history to young readers. You don't say. The study by conservative publisher Brave Books, titled The America 250 Faith Gap, analyzed more than 300 books across 25 reading lists, curated by children's publishers, public libraries, and other institutional sources for the nation's upcoming 250th anniversary. The study reportedly found 0 titles directly addressing faith, religious liberty, or Christianity's role in the founding of the United States, despite religious liberty being enshrined in the First Amendment, like the very first one. While books on the Great Awakening, the faith, lives of the founders, and the Black Church's role in American history were completely absent, according to the report. The list included Ibram X. Kendi's Stamped for Kids and Nicole Hannah Jones's Born on the Water, a picture book tied to the controversial 1619 Project. Several recommended titles focus heavily on transgender activism during the 1969 Stonewall riots, including a picture book for young children. List also heavily promoted Kate Messner's History Smashers series, which claims to expose myths, lies, and secrets in American history, as well as sympathetic biographies of former President Joe Biden and former Vice President Kamala Harris, with no equivalent bios of Republican leaders. According to Brave Books, the most common themes across the list were the American Revolution, minority perspective, Black history, civil rights, and women's history. Books focused on American symbols, the classics, the founders, and civics made up the minority of the recommendations. The lists frequently use words like quote-unquote complicated and hidden, untold, to describe American history. And what Brave Books says is an effort to reframe the American story rather than celebrate it. Yeah. Well, because if you reframe it, you can then promote socialism. Brave Books noted that while many of these titles have literary merit and share important historical perspectives, the exclusion of faith leaves the next generation with a skewed view of U.S. history. The report's findings drew sharp criticism from former HUD Secretary Dr. Ben Carson and Outkick host Riley Gaines, who are both Brave Books authors. The Declaration of Independence says our rights come from our Creator, Carson said, Benjamin Franklin called the Constitutional Convention to prayer before they produced a document that has stood for 250 years. He did, in fact. That old dirty dog, Ben Franklin, even that deist Ben Franklin called for prayer because, you know, he actually understood the world couldn't be reduced to the material and our profane fights for power here on this side of Eden. George Washington survived battle after battle in ways that defied all human explanation. These men knew where their strength came from. Ben Carson argued it is essential for young people to understand the role faith and religious liberty played in U.S. history to truly appreciate their freedoms. The generation that does not know where their freedoms come from will not know why those freedoms are worth fighting for, Carson continued. Ronald Reagan said freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. He was not exaggerating. He was being precise. When you raise children on a version of history that calls America complicated and unfinished and never once tells them that this country was founded by men of extraordinary faith and courage who believed that they were accountable to God for what they built, you're not educating them. You're making them vulnerable. Yeah, I'm not surprised by this. I mean, it's public libraries. This is what they do. You think anybody anywhere near right of center is going to work at a public library or a publishing house? Let alone anybody with balls. Like, how many men are in publishing now that still have their family jewels? I'm highly skeptical of it. Just not that surprising that in this divided time that the old institutions that used to rule the roost, and by the way, that's what I mean when I was saying to Jeff Poor earlier, I think socialism actually in this country is at one of its weakest points. There are a lot of legacies. There's too much government involved in a lot of things, a lot of systems going to crap, especially healthcare, because of all that government intermingling over the decades and over the generations. But when you actually look at the force of socialism and how the true socialists, say the Fabian socialists, those that move very slow, the wolves in sheep's clothing, they had a control of the commanding heights of the culture and information for a long time with the big three networks, with the university system, and things like, yes, publishing houses. Like, if you control what gets published, you control what people think to a large degree. But there's this thing that's happened called, technological change where, you don't have to go to a big publishing house to get a book or an idea out there. You don't have to go to your public library to find often even free resources elsewhere. And ain't that a beautiful thing? It's almost like freedom's fighting back against socialism here in America. You're on there. Who's this? You'll be the last call of the day.
Okay, Joe, this is Rooster.
Hey, Rooster.
You mentioned Ben Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very quickly, I want to tell you what I know about it. I have read and studied on it. The man was a spy for the king, and he was in a club called the Hellfire Club. And when they were restoring his house in London, they found the bones of a bunch of children.
Oh, my God.
All dead babies up under his house.
He was into child sacrifice stuff?
What do you think?
Like Baal, like Moloch sort of stuff?
Huh?
Like we're back in ancient Carthage sort of stuff? Like worshiping the god Moloch?
Oh, worse than that, but they still do all that crap today, man.
Oh, probably so.
Yeah, and he was one of them. He was not a hero, and he was not our good founder. In fact, when they were going to select what bird to use for our national emblem, there's 13 colonies. Well, 6 of them wanted eagles, and the other 6 wanted the gamecock, the fighting rooster, right?
Yeah.
Well, Franklin wanted a damn turkey.
He wanted a turkey. That's right.
He changed his mind and went with the eagles. An eagle ain't nothing but a predator. It's a nasty predator. It will carry off your baby chickens and your kitties and your puppies and all that.
Wait, you would have gone with the gamecock over the bald eagle?
Hell yeah. That gamecock's a bad boy. He defends his life and his family and all that. He is a good bird.
I love it.
That's
man.
right.
Well, I got to run, Rooster.
When we come out of the land of Canaan, Deuteronomy 22:6.
Well, Richard, I got to run, man. I appreciate the call.
All right, man.
Thank you. I guess that's the word of the day, folks. Gamecock.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump has arrived at the Capitol for lunch with Senate Republicans. Actually, he's departed now after the meeting has already been completed. The president surprised some lawmakers today by refusing to sign a bill that he actually supports.